Welcome to Season 2 of Meet the Drummer. I'm your host, Brian Petry. And today's guest, the legendary Hawley Joe Gary.
How y'all doing?
Joe, thanks for doing it, man. Thanks
my pleasure. I'm honored. We go a long way. We go back, 32, 3, 4, 5, I don't know.
Long time, yeah, early 90s.
Drumming years, it's 160 years ago now.
Yeah, man. Well, okay, so I guess we'll just start like this, man. Just tell the listeners a little bit about your upbringing, where you're from, how you got into drums, how the bug bit you, all of that.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. There's a lot to it. So, I'm from New Iberia, lived in Koto, if you don't know where, that's like small town, USA, but really rich with players and musicians. When I was really young, I was having trouble in school. My sister was ahead of me, was always doing really well, and my parents and the teachers expect me to, and I just, back then we didn't diagnose everybody with whatever issues. You just, he's just not too smart, So,
Yeah.
So then when I got to the, 5th grade, whenever you start band, I just wanted to play drums. So I went to sign up for band, and Mr. Sharpenshake said, "Oh, no, he'll never make it as a drummer. He needs to be a clarinet player."
Oh, wow.
So I quit. And then 6th grade, I did it again, trumpet or whatever, and he goes, "No, you're never going to make it as a drummer. So then I quit again. I got to 7th grade, my mom said, "Look, my son just wants to play drums, and y'all need to let him play drums." So they let me. And the school was Anderson, which was, pretty hardcore, like, it's not the best of schools. Like, you just really had to learn how to survive in there. But yet everybody was cool. And the band was a different kind of marching band. But, so I got, learning some things. And when I got to high school, the drum line in Nish became really good. And I became really good in it, and it became an identity. And then the drum line becomes one of the better ones.
Wow.
And so when it was time to go to college, all my teachers, once again, I'm struggling in school. I can't pass biology. I can't pass. And so the teacher tells me, "Hey, man, you can't go to college. You need to be a welder or something." And she's probably right. I probably should have done that. I'd be retired by now if I'd have been a plumber.
You wouldn't have had as much fun.
No, but it wouldn't have been much fun. Somebody said, "But you would have a lot of cool stories." That's what all the guys I go fishing with.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just, I told her, I said, "Well, UL's already accepted me." She's like, "What?" "Well, they want me to play drums." I'm like, "Oh, be in a drum line. Okay." So when I went there, I went march a drum corps. Those of you who don't, DCI, people who know what that is, that's like you move right when school's done, you go live somewhere, and you play drums. And I'm talking you play a snare drum if that's what you are, and learn drill and compete. And you travel all over the country competing. And that's when it really, for me, was like, I loved it. I loved being away from home and traveling. And just, the only thing I had to think about was everything was taken care of. What I ate, when I slept, when I showered, I just played drums. And we competed. I met people from all over. This is pre-internet, so this is your networking. This is how you learn things.
Yeah.
And I met a guy on that. The first corps was from Minnesota, and it was a smaller corps. And I met the section leader there. He was competing for individuals, and individuals is to see who's the best, around. And it's considered in the world because it's a big high-end kind of thing. And back then, it's not your ego. You're like, man, I want to be cool like that guy, because I'm just a scrawny little kid who's like, gets kind of, I make it to college, I'm playing drums there. I did doing my first drum corps. So I decided those are the things I want to do. And then, because my first major was industrial tech in college, but I quickly switched to music just because I thought, man, if I could play drums all my life, it made no money. And if I played drums 7 days a week, I'd be so happy. It doesn't matter if I had money. And I'm like, and so that was the goal. So started working towards that, where I practice all the time and I really loved practicing. I love when I really learned how to do it, the short-term goals, long-term goals, mindset, what's it for? It's not about showing, And then the drum bug was like because I love music, but more than music in itself, I just love drums.
Yeah.
So I finally do my first year drum corps. I decided I want to be in one of the top ranked corps. The corps I was in was 20th in the world. I said, I want to be in one of these top 5 corps.
Wow.
And so I was like, I took my first semester of college and started there. And I was like, still kind of playing drum set. Never had a drum set teacher. Just a kid playing on his drum set in his bedroom. Wanted to be Neil Peart.
Putting
thought
it
he
together.
was the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just my practice session was how many hug it could I do, you know, before. And so all of that just felt good to me. Those were release. And it's like I felt like and people respected me for it. So it felt good being good at something. But it really wasn't like always like I want to show off and go play. None of that kind of reacted to that for me so far.
Yeah.
Because I had friends who they would do it for the girls or for whatever they thought. And me, I was a little more shy. I was like, no. I like the way this
Really into drums.
I like the way this feels.
Yeah.
I play it.
Totally.
It feels good. And then when I was in college, the academia made a little more sense to me than high school. I was able to thrive. And that's when I figured out, if you read a book and you read it over and over, different books, it's exercising your brain and you can learn. In high school, you don't really want to read, and all of a sudden you start reading and you go, my brain kind of does work.
Yeah, I want to learn. Yeah.
And I went to, had an English class, and my English professor says, hey, man, aren't you that drummer dude? And I go, yeah. He goes, I got this gig. It was a Neil Diamond cover band he was in.
Oh,
and
wow.
He sings. And he says, I would like you to come do this gig for me. I go, I got it. So I go do the gig. At the end of the gig, man, you did great. In fact, you did so good. I said, how many Englishes you have left? I said, I have 3 of them. He goes, don't bother. You got an A on all of them.
Oh, nice. What?
Now, this guy passed away a while back on his motorcycle. It was Mike. I forget his last name, but he was a professor at UL. Wow. And he just wiped out all my Englishes. And I was like, I learned the power of music.
God bless that man.
Yeah, because I was sucking. But then as college went on, I met some of my first teachers that really changed my life to where, okay, this is profound, this is something different. And one of them was Marty Hurley, and he was just a drumline guy. He was from Jersey, but he was teaching at Brother Martin in New Orleans, and he was the caption head for Phantom Regiment. And John Wooten took me to go see him because he was marching Phantom Regiment, so he took me to go see Marty. And while I was sitting there, after we played on this practice pad table he would just have this conversation with John like I wasn't there. He's like, John, I don't know, man, this kid sucks. Look at his left hand. You cannot fix that left hand, John. I'm sitting right there listening.
Wow.
And he goes, there's just no way this kid's going to make this drum line. And so I was like, the hell you said?
This left hand?
Yeah, so he goes, I'll tell you what, you can come to the first camp, and if you survive, we'll see. So I had no idea what their camps were like, because the other drum corps I marched with, they were begging kids to be in.
Yeah.
I get there, they're like 100 snare drummers trying out for 4 spots. And I was like, holy shit. So we start doing our thing, and I make it to a couple of camps, and every camp he goes, you still not too good, you're not going to make it, but you can come to the next one. And remember, these camps are in Rockville, Illinois, so we'd get in a van on a Thursday night, skip school Friday, go to Rockford, play. Sunday, we'd do a half a camp. It's 18 hours to get back. We'd pull into campus just in time to go to class on
Wow.
Monday. And we would do that 4 or 5 times. But it was really great. Those guys that are all marching, like my brother and they were marching in the Corps in Chicago. So we would just share a ride up and drop each other off at whatever, wherever we were going. Summertime comes, he says, okay, you can move up. But I'm cutting one of you because there's 9. I want 9 snares. 10 of you can move up, but one of you is going to get cut before the first tour. That's what he tells me. So we move up.
No pressure.
It was me to do Marvin. So we actually go on the first tour. He goes, all right, I'm going to let you guys come on tour. Now, I'm too stupid to know that the show's been designed. The drill's been written for 10 years. They're not going to change. But this whole time I'm thinking, and he's just not nice, man, pushing me around, push-ups, running laps, just like on me all the time. Finally, the whole summer goes by, and then we get to DCI finals. I don't even remember where we were, maybe Miami. And when you travel with a corps like that, you stay in gym floors. You stay at high schools, and you shower in the big shower. And I'm sitting on my sleeping bag in the gym floor, and Marty walks up to me, sits next to me, and he looks at me, and I go, what, you going to cut me now? And this was like the day of finals. He goes, no, I just want to tell you, you've been one of my favorite students I've ever had. And he walked away.
Wow.
And his way of teaching and motivating was intense. And I was like, that son of a...
Putting pressure on you.
I was like, but they were, those guys from Jersey, he was probably in his 40s at that point. Really intense guy. So but it was really like, at that moment, I understood all of a sudden,
if you can
what
perform
he's
under
talking
pressure,
about.
yeah,
and then
man.
Another staff came in the next year. I did my drum corps career. I reached to the pinnacle of that just by practicing, and you can become the guy, And I said, if I apply these rules to the world of drumming on the other side, I can do this.
Yeah.
So by then I had 5 years of college in me, and in Lafayette back then there was no internet. So in order to learn anything, so all the good drummers that would elevate themselves here, they would leave. They would go to New York, or they would go Ricky Sebastian,
Yeah, totally.
Ryan Parquette. They would leave. They either go to L.A. or they go to New York, where they can go, because you couldn't do it here in Lafayette.
Yeah.
So there was so when you're the best player around and you're really not that good, there's a problem. You know,
Right.
like, you're not going to learn. So it's like, and my teachers in college were orchestral percussionists and I drum set. But I made it through my 5 years of school, and I was teaching with Phantom Regiment, working with Marty Hurley, the very guy. You know, I had another guy, Mike Mann, who was in my life that was kind of, and finally I was just like, you know, I think I'm just, you know, North Texas wanted me to go to school there because I had marched with some kids from North Texas. And at that point I just said, you know what, I want to play. And if I want to play, I got to go take a shot now, because Pearl Drums had offered me a job to go do conventions with them and play snare drum on their things, you know. And I go,
Wow.
what happens when the next guy comes along and knocks me off my throne? He goes, will you be a salesman? I go, I don't want to be a salesman.
Well, yeah, right.
So 2 years later, some other kid comes up and is a hot shot snare drummer and knocks me off my throne. They're going to go play the drums for. So he goes, well, the invitation, you know, keep my. And so the guy, his name was Al Duffy, I think. He handed me his card, and I went away. I said, I'm moving to L.A. So I said, I'm going to go to school. And by then, I'm ate up with drums. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm ate up so much, I'm practicing 8 hours a day. I'm finding, I'm like, I got goals, I got things I'm going to hit. And I say, I'm going to do this. I get to L.A., I go to MI where there's 800 drummers. I didn't want to just show up in L.A., I'm going to go to this school, MI.
Yeah.
And I learned that this school was just kind of like a big farm to make money for players who were struggling. You really not, because they had these set classes where I got there and it was like, man, this is not going to benefit me at all, you know, and
Yeah.
these first phases. So I went to Joe Picaro, Jeff Picaro's dad, and said, hey, man, I'm in this technique class, and they're teaching us how to play a paradiddle. I'm not trying to stroke my ego or nothing like that, but I'm just saying I can probably play paradiddles faster and better than anybody in this building. And that's what I've spent the last 10 years of my life doing. I don't want to do
Every day,
that.
all day.
I mean, he's like, well, maybe you could help us teach this class. You know, I'm thinking, what? I'm paying like $5,000 to be here. And so, but what I started learning was the relationships that I was making within the school was beyond worth the money.
Yeah. You can't
And
put
so
a
I just
value
went
on
with the
that.
flow of things. And I remember I went to this one, they did the first phase, second phase, third phase, fourth phase play. It was a 1-year program. So I'm in the first phase, and they have a big band reading area where they go, only third and fourth phase drummers can participate. And they have these hired session players that's in the big band.
Yeah.
So by then I'm feeling like, and they're going to read, they put this chart up. Anybody want to sight read this chart? And it was this samba chart. Well, I had just spent a year touring it with UL's jazz band, so I knew that chart, but I didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
And then, Steve Houghton was running. I don't know if you know Steve Houghton. He's got books, and you know, Steve Houghton looks. Any of you first or second phase drummers want to take a shot, or should I read this page down for y'all? I go, I'll take a shot. Everybody busts out laughing. Dude, I burned the chart down because I had it memorized, but act like I was reading it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a mistake because everybody thought I was just burning reading, and I really wasn't. So it's like, I met some of the teachers who watched it were like, man, why don't you come play in my class? And that kind of started like a snowball. Oh, I get how this school works, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teachers that were there were famous to me. They were in Modern Drummer magazine. And I thought that they had made it. And you would talk to them, and I realized, man, they're just struggling.
Just
you know,
like
it's
us.
like one said, man, why do you think I'm teaching here? I got to make a living. You know, I
Yeah,
can't, you know,
yeah.
just the gigs just aren't falling off of trees. And then I was in the music business office as a guy there, and I was getting some auditions. So I was getting some of those auditions lined up that people would come and just do these cattle calls in these schools. And in walks Scott Henderson, who's kind of a famous jazz fusion guitar player at the time, and he's selling gear to pay his rent. And I'm thinking, what?
What is going on? Yeah.
He's selling some, well, he gets a lot of free gear. So he's
Right.
selling his gear. Back then, you still get free gear. It's kind of hard to get free gear these days. But it's
Yeah.
like, he was getting amps to play and stuff, and he was selling it to pay his rent. And then I was like, man, that's kind of intense. So I did a few auditions, and I learned right away that, you know, young, hungry green players, you know, that are just ready to go light the world on fire, will play for really cheap. And the first few, like, a guy named Richard Elliott was trying to be the next Kenny G, a sax player who played for Tower Power. And I made it all the way to I even beat out one of my teachers. And it wasn't about, you know, it was more like, I'm a dude from Louisiana, and I play like a dude from Louisiana. Even though I didn't love, you know, we talked about this earlier, it's like Louisiana has something about a lot of special drummers.
Sauce, yeah, man.
And so that got me pretty far. And then when we started talking the business of it, I was like, I can't do it. You know, I can't do the tour. It's not enough money. I have a wife and a kid, you know,
Yeah,
like
man.
at the time. you know. So I'm in LA and I've graduated from school, and I was like, I'm going to stay, and I'm going to take a shot at it, you know, with a wife and a kid. I can figure this out. And that's when it really is like, you know, I realized that, man, I'm not going to just give up, you know. And then a lot of things happened, you know. It's like, in order to practice, I had to go rent a rehearsal room. I knew this guy, Wendell, in East LA, which is a bad area of LA. And I rehearsed with a few bands there. And when he would have an empty room, he'd call me and say, hey, man, I got an empty room, $40, and you can have it for 2 hours.
Wow.
Well, back then, $40 was a lot. So I'd take my drums, load them out my apartment, haul over there, practice for 2 hours until Wendell kicked me out, and then I would come back. And then just to try and get some practice time. Now I got 10 drum sets set up in a building. I don't practice at all.
You're right, to school.
But it's like, but back then it was like I still thought. And on my graduation day, I went to Ralph Humphrey, and I was like, what would you do if you were a young player and you know, coming on the world? He goes, the first thing I wouldn't do is flaunt my chops. And I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, I mean, you spent your whole life getting, you know, he goes, I wouldn't go out there and do that. There's so many good players. Nobody wants to hear all that.
Yeah.
And he says, second thing, I'd grow my hair long and join a band. Keep in mind, this is the 80s.
Totally.
MTV's still relevant, you know, hair band. I'm like, and this is a guy who played with Al Jarreau and Frank Zappa. He's saying, I wouldn't, you know, back in those days, there were a handful of guys who could play odd meters, smaller handful of guys who could read music, smaller handful of guys had the drum intelligence to do these gigs so we could get gigs.
Well, this is before cell phones and social media, too. So, yeah, you really have to be creative to get your name out there.
Oh, you just had to go hit the pavement and play. Play, and you had to fit a mold. And before I had left school, we had the opportunity to have a lesson with Jeff Porcaro, and I had a couple of lessons with a terrible teacher, a beautiful player, but
great drummer,
But man, but I've learned something from him I teach to everyone that I ever come across and teach, is that he says, I've been fired for who I am as much as I've been hired for who I am.
Yeah, totally.
Like your identity, you can't let your ego get in the way of a punch in the mouth by saying you're just not the right guy, because you're not going to be right for everything.
Right.
And he just flat out was like, and I said, well, it's easy for a guy who's making 10 grand a week, you know, playing sessions all over, you know. But he was like, the brutal truth of it is that there's so many of us out there that can play and believe that we're going to make it. We believe we're going to do this. We believe. And we also, the romantic part of the money that's waiting for you at the end, which we all know is false. But it's right. So then by then though, I'm in it. You know what I mean? I'm going to try for 5 years, and then I'm going to move back home if nothing happens. And every time I get close to like just being discouraged, I was working as a chef in a Cajun restaurant. And I got to cook for like Morris Day. I got to cook for Woody Howard.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would meet him. I got in a fist fight with Gary Coleman.
Oh, no. This is going to be great for the end of the thing, because we talk about cooking. So this is good. That's funny, dude.
So Gary Coleman used to come to the restaurant. He would want food to go. And if you don't know who Gary Coleman is, it's the kid. And
what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, we'll talk about. Well, that's what got me in a fight with him. And he would want his food to go. By then, he's got a gray beard, but he still looks like the little kid. He's short. And he would come to the back door of the restaurant, and I'd give him the food in a plate wrapped in foil. He didn't want it to go container because he didn't want the plastic. Yeah. So after about the 10th time, I was like, hey, man, you got to start bringing those plates back. My boss is getting mad. And he mumbled something off to me, and I said, what you talking about, Willis? He just started throwing his fists on me.
Oh, no.
He was like, I was shoving the door. I was like,
oh, my God, that's hilarious.
And every time I tell that story, I say, how many people got in a fist fight with Gary Coleman? Not many. And all I said was, what you talking about, Willis? And boy,
that's what he's famous for.
But that was, and then when I started feeling kind of like something would come along, I got this gig. It's all about your circle of friends. It's even back then, it was all about your network. And as one of them would move up, they would move you up if they were your buddy, right?
Right.
Like once again, there's no like YouTube to go show off your talents. You just had to like constantly be
in-person networking,
everything you had.
Yeah.
And but I'm feeling strong about it. But I also learned that there ain't no such thing as the best. I mean, everybody's good. Everybody can play. Everybody's committed.
There's
you're just
no best.
one of millions.
Right.
And you learn that when you're younger. Usually, when it's time, like you feel like the drummer you admire. Then all of a sudden you see another drummer, and he's better or different, and you go, huh?
Yeah.
It's just apples and oranges.
Yeah.
So, but by then I did this tour. They asked me to do these 2 songwriters and just be a hired gun and go do this tour in Costa Rica. And I'm like, Costa Rica? And by then I think the job I was doing, I was sweeping chimneys. But my boss was cool. He would let me take some time off if I had something happen. And I was like, how long is this tour? It'd be about a month and a half. They know who you are there? Because no one knows. It was 2 songwriter dudes. They would call it Hearts and Minds. And so we play this audition for this company. This company comes in, they fly a photographer in, they take pictures, they do this thing. Still, I don't think nothing of it. I said, when am I going to get paid? And so they told me, I said, oh, that's worth going.
Yeah,
how many gigs are we going to play? I said, you play a gig, you go to a party. You play a gig, you go to a party. You play a gig, then you have 2 days. They had the schedule all lined up. There's I said, we're going to a lot of parties, man. What's up with this gig? And so that's when I learned
the importance of networking.
The importance of not just networking, but hype.
Yeah, man. Big time.
It was a cigarette company and a beer company. We'd go find these unknown. They couldn't hire Bon Jovi or one of those bands. They could get a band like this that fit a profile. So you had to fit a profile, a certain look.
Yeah.
They would put you all over. They come in, they make one music video, and they take one of your songs. Not even a good song, probably. I don't remember. And they go make it a hit. So I still don't know. The plane lands. We get out the plane, and we're getting mobbed. Like we're the Beatles or something. I'm thinking, what is going on here?
Hype train in effect. I love it.
And it's so, like, we were playing for, I met my drum tech. I said, what's a drum? I never had a drum tech before. Wow. He goes, what would you like to drink at the end of every night? And he asked me, what equipment do you want? Blah, blah, blah. And so he said, I'll go get it for you. And it's Costa Rica, keep in mind, so I don't know if I can get all the stuff you need.
Totally.
What are your endorsements? Like, endorsements? I don't have any endorsements. And so he's like, he spies a drum set. There's a band that opens up for us, and we get up on our first gig that the military had to make a tunnel for us to run through. There's 30,000 people in this soccer field that we're playing for. And I'm like, and the energy is like,
oh, man, that's so exciting.
The lights go down, man. We go up there. Every tempo's way too fast, We're just burning through it all. And I get off the stage, and there's all these girls lined up. And the manager goes, pick the ones you want, we'll bring them to your room.
Oh, those days, man, yeah. Wow.
I looked at, there's a backup singer in the band, and she goes, my wife's name's Carrie, and she goes, I know Carrie, I like Carrie, I will tell. I go, don't worry, I'm good. So,
good girl.
And each band member had 2 bodyguards.
Yeah.
And the bodyguards didn't really speak English, but they would take care of you. So that's kind of how that thing went. And so part of the deal was you would go to these parties or you go on this shot. And I was like, if this is what a rock star is, sign me up.
Totally.
So then I'm really like intrigued by this. But it's like you said, it's just a whole hype. It was a facade. It's not real. It was like Fantasy Island. The plane comes back. The band plays a few gigs.
Wow.
But I'm a hard gun, so those guys are trying to get they got a small record deal, but nothing. So I'm getting, and then again, I'm out sweeping chimneys, and I meet a lady. I'm sweeping her chimney, and she's like, and once again, I meet a lot of famous people sweeping chimneys. I get to know them. Adrienne Barbeau.
Crazy. Yeah.
Shows my age there, but she was a goddess back in my day. She cooked lunch for me one day.
Wow.
Like, you meet all these, and then you find out these people are just normal. That's when I quit.
She got more money than us.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they don't even have any money. They just, it's like, but I find out they're normal people, and I enjoyed, like meeting different people. Then I no longer had the famous people freak me out anymore. Like, okay, I'm good with that. It's like,
yeah.
But this one lady, she tells me, you're not a chimney sweep, are you? And I'm going to go, why am I doing a bad job? And she goes, no, I get a vibe about you. I'm a spiritual therapist.
Oh, wow.
At the time, I didn't know what a spiritual therapist was. And she said, I just get this vibe about you that you're a musician, aren't you? Well, I said, I have long hair, of course, because I had to have, you had to have long hair because one of my other lessons was I auditioned for Slaughter. And when they saw they said, wrong image. They wanted a blue-eyed, blonde-haired drummer, and of course it was good. Of course, that guy exists. Yeah. So she's like, I know 2 clients of mine that are looking for drummers right now. You mind me giving them your contact? I said, well, who are we? One of them is Deborah Hannon. I didn't know who she was. She goes, she's auditioned so many drummers, can't find the right guy. And the other one's Steve Vai. I said, Steve Vai?
Holy shit. Wow.
I said, yes, I'm interested in Steve Vai.
Yeah.
This lady commanded so much respect that Steve Vai called back and said, look, I already signed a drummer, but I'll keep your name, reached out to me.
Wow.
That this lady was like, he respected this maybe thought. She was like, so the Deborah person, she called me, and I met her in North Hollywood, and And once again, I'm moving back to Louisiana. I'm done, But I go meet with her, and I've been in and out of 4 or 5 bands with record deals. I've met the wizard, and I'm like, okay, this is not reality.
Yeah, yeah.
She says, well, why don't you come down to SIR, which is a rehearsal studios they have around LA, and there'll be a drum set there, but I want you to bring your own set because I want to know what you sound like. And I'm playing on a piece of shit, Like, it's a piece of junk, bro. It's duct taped together hardware.
Oh, yeah.
Cracked cymbals. I can't afford anything. And I'm like, okay. But I could make them sound good because I would put pinstripe heads on them and give them some. And I go down there, and there are like 20 drummers coming in and out of there with their gear, like one after the other.
Wow.
She was signed to a subsidiary of Geffen at the time, and she had Cindy, I forget her name. She was pretty big management. She managed like Guns N' Roses and all these people, and who were big at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ooh, she's kind of legit.
Yeah.
And so I finally get in there, and the manager at the door that was controlling things was like, man, you're like drummer number 320 in the last
holy shit
few months that I've auditioned for. So I get in there and I start playing. And halfway through the first, and I look at the band first before, and it's like, it's obvious this band's put together. There was a muscular guy with a t-shirt playing violin. There was Les Paul playing long, straight black hair guitar player. A Seattle-looking bass player. This was 1991, probably. There was, like, it was obvious this band's being put together for a very particular reason, for MTV, for a very marketing scheme. By then, I realized how music worked. Like, marketing, you got to fit in these criteria, these marketing boxes, or they're not going to mess with you.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Halfway through the song, she cuts it. I'm like, oh, God, she hated it. It's like, I love it. When can you start? And I'm like,
right now?
No, let's do this. Like, no questions asked, So then I go meet with her attorneys, and I got to go this likeness. You got to sign away your, whatever. I'm like, none of this can hold up in court. None of it matters if nothing happens. So I'm just like,
yeah, right.
Sign
it all.
Sign. And here's the strange part about this. Keep in mind, this is all before social media, access to everything.
Yeah.
She was this lesbian folk music that went like a little punk rock edge to it. She was in her mid-30s. This was her last shot. She had been in some other bands, and back then, 30-something was pretty old for a musician to take a shot at it.
Yeah.
She had big management and big money behind her, and record companies to boot. But they all had their own ideas of how her career, because they were going to build her career in the band. And she was very, very liberal, hated guns, hated war, hated middle American conservative dudes. Well, I'm a middle America conservative. So we would talk, and she loved me, I loved her. We were opposite ends of the fence, but we totally respected each other and where we came from. The way it's supposed to be, not like it is now.
You don't have to hate somebody, yeah, right.
And so 2 musicians who have, we communicated that way. I drummed the way she liked, I liked her music, good enough. And then we became a friendship of, and I'm only, by then I'm 23 years old. I'm not that old, 24 maybe, I don't remember. But it's like, I was smart enough at the time, experienced, you learn a lot by doing all those things. That's like, okay, I'm in this business, I want to do this. Being the best doesn't really equivalent. I just got to make that artist sound good, right?
Yeah, right.
And so you start learning that I'm a servant. This instrument's a servant instrument. I got to make everybody else sound beautiful. And then, but back in the 80s, in the 90s, you kind of had to look cool while you did it.
Yeah.
But you couldn't really and you had to play the part of whatever was needed. And the front person, they need you to save them whenever things go wrong. You need to be there. You need to guide the band. The band can't fight you. You know how they say it's the drummer's job to be a time? No, it's everybody's job to keep time, but the drummer has to navigate. You can't fight the drummer when it comes to navigating the song. So you need to kind of hear chord changes. You got to understand what's happening. You need to know what that singer, the front person's trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I became that for her. We played some showcasing gigs. And funny story is one time we were playing, not Kazari, it's one of those famous clubs on the Strip. And I played with this other band called Neighborhood Threat. And that band, Neighborhood Threat, used to rehearse with Weezer in their house. This right before Weezer, and they would tell me, man, this band's going to be big. And I said, this band's terrible. But they wrote cool songs. But they weren't terrible. But they were really smart, intelligent dudes. They were just different, weird dudes. And that was the vibe that was going to be. Yeah. And this band played the same venue the week earlier. And when we ended, the stagehands just threw me out the door and shut the door. And I'm in the alley in Hollywood. with my drums and my gear by myself, and my car was parked a few blocks away.
Oh, God.
And there's this bum standing there going, $10, I'll watch your drums.
Oh, and the $10 you're going to carry.
Get my drums loaded, and I'm out of there. And so the next gig, I play with Deborah. Those same stagehands, I'm the same guy. They unload my drums for me. There's a VIP room. They set me up with drinks. The gig ends. They load my drums for me. I go to the VIP room, meet all these executives. And then I was like, man, I'm the same dude that was here the week before. You know, it's like totally just depending on who you were with. And then
wow,
that gig continues on where we do showcases. You know, we did all these demos. I got to play some really cool studios, like rooms where they had a room with mics that was just tile with doors. So that was their natural reverb where the drums were. All these high-end studios at the time, gazillions of dollars, man. It was just like all the outboard gear and the API, just racks of stuff. And it wasn't like now where you could, it's all built in your laptop, you know.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And so I'm just blown away. I'm in this whole world of like, so now the bug's biting me again, right? I'm looking at this going, man, I want to live here.
Yeah.
I want to live like, you know, in this world. Engineers are super nice, super smart, you know. They're just figuring, you know, helping you figure things out in songs and giving you all the time you need to kind of navigate the songs. And then, so we leave there. Deborah's, you know, they start shopping for a producer. And then that's where the troubled waters kind of like stalled a little bit because she wanted, I'm terrible with names, but he had just did Pearl Jam's record, and that's when that record blew up.
Oh, like Brendan O'Brien?
Yeah.
Those guys?
He wanted too much money.
Wow.
The record comes like, this is steep. And back then, he wanted like almost $400,000 to do this record.
Wow.
And even Geffen Records was like, man, I you know, they were like. So Deborah says, look, we're going to negotiate through this. I know you want to move back to Louisiana, because by then I have a second kid on the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not raising my kids in L.A.
Yeah.
And so she says, so I met with her management, and they were like, man, you know, you can go live wherever you want as long as you have an airport. Once again, no cell phones, internet, so you know you're disconnected.
Yeah.
So I moved back, and then the deal was the record companies have apartments. You fly out there, you stay in apartments, right? You know, and then when the tour happens, you just meet the bus wherever the bus is going to be.
Yeah.
Most likely out of Nashville is where all those bus companies were.
Yep.
But
still are.
Nothing happens. A year goes by. Man, Deborah calls me every now and then. Hey, this is taking a little longer. You know, nothing. And the lawsuit. I mean, the dispute turns into a lawsuit, and then once between the record company and her, and then her manager. So then it became a three-way lawsuit because everybody had all this money and time tied in. So everybody wanted their money back. Well, by then, it kills her career.
Oh, it locks up the brand.
And it just kills
done.
her career.
Yeah.
Like so I'm like, holy man, and here I am in New Iberia, no house. No. So I was like, okay, well that's the sign on the wall. I'm gonna take over my uncle's Snapper lawnmower dealership. I'm gonna get that from him. I'm gonna go rent the house that my my mom grew up in, and I'm gonna eventually redo that. I'm just gonna go live, you know.
Yeah.
And then Ed Gore calls me to go play with Andy Smith, and keep in mind, I'm still like, I love playing drums still. I love music, and I still just, this is right about the time I'm going to meet you, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
So I go, man, what do you guys make? And he goes, hey, you make about $100 a gig. I say, hey, great. I can go play some drums, make $100. I mean, I'm good with that. So I go do the first few gigs.
It's a lot cheaper to live here than it is in LA.
A lot cheaper. I had to make $60,000, $70,000. I'd make that sweeping chimneys, you know.
God,
like,
it's crazy.
In fact, the guy offered me the business for it. He goes, I'll give you, you know, why don't you buy the chimney business from me? He did it for 10 years and made enough money to retire in Laguna Hills. Millions.
Wow.
Millions. And I was like, nah, I don't want to be a chimney.
I want to play drums.
I want to play drums.
Oh, yeah.
But I went back, and when I got back, I realized playing drums was not on the table because, you know, I went to an Andy Smith show, and it was a cover band. It was playing. I saw Rob get from behind the soundboard and go rap "Baby Got Back." Like,
yeah.
What is this? You know, I was just like not quite understanding. You know, like it was just kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So I go play some, and then they reworked the band, and that's when I meet Heath. And Heath had just finished being with Stevie B, where he's a 17-year-old kid, you know,
Long
with
hair.
a #1 hit.
Yeah.
Touring the world, you know, being, you know. And then it ends. And I remember he told me the story when it ended. they were playing the Cajun Dome, and whenever the bus drivers came to the band and said, "We're leaving because we haven't been paid, so get your stuff off the bus." So that they went to the truck driver and said, "Hey man, could you bring the gear, all the stage gear, to my house?" So they took the truck and went down to his parents' house, backed the truck up, and loaded the gear into the garage. All the road cases. When things started first, that's the road cases we were using, was those road cases. So that I met Heath. He was younger than me, but we just kind of, and at that time, Andy was battling with substance and stuff, and so I was like, man, this is brutal. But we're playing in Gulf Shores, and we're playing, and I'm barely making.
Y'all were
any
hot,
money.
man. When y'all
Andy
got in
was
that
doing
band,
it was a good band, but it was like I just you could see that this is not
yeah,
this is going to be what it is forever, and so I'm still thinking about this thing.
it was an in the moment kind of band.
And that's when I went to see y'all, and y'all were doing that Wednesday night college countdown at Poets.
Yeah,
Lost and Found.
Yeah,
And I was like, man,
some fun times.
There should be another band doing this too.
Totally.
And Heath was a bass player in Andy's band, but would sing a few songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, so we started talking. Let's start a band to do this grunge movement thing that's happening.
Beautiful.
And we slide into there, and you could actually drum on this stuff, because that stuff, like, if you've ever seen the movie Almost Famous, you need to go watch it.
Totally.
And Lester Banks makes this speech about the death grasp of rock and roll. He was totally accurate on it.
Totally.
Like, he's saying how it was making the 90s was the last grasp of real big arena rock.
Oh, yeah.
Like rock stars.
Yep.
The 90s was the end of it. 2000 kind of here. But anyway, so we started learning some songs to go do this, but we don't have the following like y'all had to get that gig. That was a big gig back then, man. On Wednesday night at Poets.
Oh, it was great.
Y'all, you were like, man, and you were young and cocky. I'm making $200 a night,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we start practicing, and we go play like Mako's. Like nobody's coming to see us.
Oh, I remember we used to come, man. It was a blast.
No, at that time, and then we all became friends, and we started riding bikes all over the place. But Spank is still trying to get, who names a band Spank the Monkey unless it's going to be a joke and not Latin? So we just called it that just to make it effective, so we could get that Wednesday night gig and get kids to
That
see
was brilliant marketing, man.
We start drawing enough, and we go play. We get our first gig there, and we only drew like 50 people. And Chris was like, oh, So then y'all had, I think by then y'all started gigging in Houston.
Yeah.
Y'all were going to Houston.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday we tried again. When y'all weren't there, they gave us a spot, and maybe 80 people. Chris Callan. That buys you one more shot, because y'all were drawing at the time.
Chris was great, man.
300-400 people. And boy, that next time, in the meantime, we would kind of play, and all of a sudden, that buzz that I talk about, that momentum, that's one thing. Like Heath knew how to do that. The guys in the band, we all worked together.
Yeah.
And we started saying, we need to build a show. Remember that band Intersection used to be around?
Yep.
We started thinking about, okay. And then we drew, 200-300 people came. So then Chris, we were cemented in. We would rotate with you guys.
Yeah.
And then we started playing on the Strip, and boy, it just started.
Y'all had the
word of mouth,
production, man.
the roll. Everybody thought we were a bunch of rich kids, but really, Chad Peters was just buying all those lights with the money he was making, and because he lived cheap, and he would just spend all his money on all his gear, and he just kept. And he wanted to be, I'm gonna do lights. I'm gonna do lights.
So good at it, man.
He was great. Like he was a drummer, so he could
right.
play.
He
was actually supposed to be Spank's first drummer, and I kind of slid in and took the gig. But he would, everything was like, and at the time we would spend 2-3 hours set. No, we had, then, but still I was like very like, we were still an Andy Smith band. I'm still like a little concerned about, and then somebody, Lindell comes along, and Christian and them, they're like, hey man, Lindell has some free studio time. He wired his studio in Generette, and he's going to let us spend a week and record. And we had nothing to record. We were playing Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and
the
Live
good stuff,
and those,
man. Yeah.
And so we get together. I said, well, let's write some songs. And we start writing some songs. And we write My House in Koto, and all the songs being written. So we spend, Christian's in for a vacation, so it's like he has some ideas, we just just kind of chunking things together, not taking it serious at all. We said we need at least 10 songs to try. If we could do 10 songs in 2 days.
Yeah.
So we put 10 songs together, and I'm thinking about, like I'm putting drum parts that kind of leftovers from the 80s, like Like instead of, because by then everybody's just beating the hell out of rides and just washing, and I still wanted some articulation in the playing, you know. So I said I'm going to use my K custom ride and my KZ hats and kind of do some different things.
Yeah, man.
But make the songs nice and just smooth and not try to blow chops on anything. So we write these songs, and none of us think anything of it. We go record them. 2 days, we're done. Lindo gives me a little cassette tape to listen to. So,
I remember those days.
We learn them, then we play them on the gig, and all of a sudden, but by having those few originals, it kind of like legitifies the band, and then the buzz. And then the real thing that really derailed my life was we were playing. Remember the Barney Blast, Bennigan's? We were playing that.
Loved playing that thing.
That thing was like a built-in crowd. Like you didn't have to worry about a crowd, man. And they were there to do it.
Yeah.
They would tear that place apart.
Oh.
That tent would be rocking. So we were playing that, and Hans, who's Fast Eddie, was there.
Totally.
Just started playing at radio.
I remember.
And he goes, I say, Hans, we have some songs. You're a radio guy. Listen, I said, I think one of these songs is actually pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
And so my wife wakes me up the next morning and said, y'all song's on the radio. I said, what? And he was playing it on his morning show. And he said, I'm not going to tell you what band this is. I'm just going to play it. And then I want the audience to tell me. And he's playing, and I said, holy shit, that cassette sounds terrible.
I remember.
Listen, my playing's not good. Because when we were doing it, Chad Peters used to work for one of those daiquiri places. So we were drinking, and I don't drink and drum. That's not something I do. I learned a long time ago I can't do that.
Yeah.
But we were drinking daiquiris, just having a good old time, messing around, working the bugs out of this guy's studio. And the song's being played. And then it shoots up to their most requested. And then it just changes some things for us really fast. And
Big
we're like,
time. Yeah.
Like, I'd already been through a lifetime of music and brutals and ups and downs and roller coasters. And, like, the last thing I needed in my early 30s was this thing.
So your BS meters peaked.
Oh, it peaked. Like, I was, my guard was up, and I wasn't wheeling, you know, it's like, I'm not buying into this.
Right.
And by then I already knew that there's no, like, the one we really didn't know at the time how bad the music is, but I knew how hard it was to make money. By then, I had met some legit rock stars who were broke. You know.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and why do you think a lot of these has-been bands are still going pounding the casinos? Because they got to make some money.
Yeah.
So anyway, they Sweet Daisy's on the radio. You know. And things, man, our club gigs start 1,000 people.
Oh, y'all are rolling. I remember.
But we all, like at the time though, all the bands started doing really well. Like the one thing that that people don't understand, and it's like people think that we're all in competition. It's like, no, we all need to draw. These venues need to make money, so we have places
we need
to
support
play.
each other. Yeah.
And like, you know, and by then we were all kind of in that same. But you guys, your band members were already kind of thinking about the other side, you know. Like Kurt was like,
graduate
college, make some money, bro.
Yeah,
I did this for beer and girls.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then, you know, everybody was kind of like, but Spank was kind of some dudes that were like the guys who were.
We're in this.
Yeah. And when I forget what gig it was, we finished one night and we go home, and then Chris Boaz gets a phone call. He was the guitar player at the time. And we had made our own little CD, and we spent $1 a CD to have them made. We had 1,000 of them made, and we sold them. So we
disc makers, huh?
So disc maker.
Back in the day,
all the money we made with that 1,000,
yeah.
And we used Chad Peters' credit card because he's the only one that had credit card with room on it to buy the CDs. Paid him back, and then we bought, I think, another like 2,000 or 3,000. I don't remember what it was we got, and they were just selling. And then we had them at this like Raccoon Records and what was the sound shop in the mall and those places, and people.
Yeah.
So Wind Up, who had records, was what's his name? Creed. That was their label. Creed was their big act, and had a few others.
Yeah.
The president calls Chris and says, "Hey, we hear that you guys make blah blah blah." And Chris is on the other side. Goes, "F you, man." Hangs up. I thought it was one of his friends messing with him. Guy calls back. He's like, "Don't hang up. This is so and so from Wind Up." You know, he goes. Chris goes, "Man, I don't have time for this." Boom, hangs up the phone again. No. The guy calls back again. "Don't hang up. You have an attorney?" Chris is like, "No." He goes, "You better get one because shitstorm's coming your way." And then he hangs up.
Oh, shit.
So then all of a sudden Chris is like, "Holy smoke." So he calls Primo, who was working at the sound shop, calls and says, "Hey, man, Wind Up called the shop. Seeing because y'all had SoundScan so many sales, y'all were outselling Metallica at that store. it triggered all the record companies to send somebody to come see y'all. Did anybody call? Chris is like, holy smoke.
That does not happen anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the song
love
is,
it.
well, radio stations can't play local bands anymore.
I
They just
know,
can't.
I know.
There's none of that, like but the momentum and everything, like the song was okay, but the song, like the way we listen to music today is you just go online, you search about. But back then, the song had to have a vehicle to help launch it. That was the record company or the band.
Yeah.
Like without, Rush had 4 albums before they even had a hit. Record company invested in them, helped them, gave them time.
Yeah,
now
the last one was a make it or break it.
Yeah, now it's one song, one shot, and you're done, right? Well,
Yeah.
we didn't know that was happening in '97 when all this was going down for us, for
Wow.
me. But I didn't know that. I'm still living on the 7-album deal. Think about this: Nirvana came out, and Pretty Boy Floyd, who was the biggest hair band on the Strip, about to be the next Poison.
Yeah.
They die when Nirvana takes off. They had a 7-album deal. Big. They were like, when I was living out there, they were going to be the big. You've never heard of them, but
Grohl was like what, their 5th drummer or something like that?
Yeah, just boom, died.
Yeah.
That goes off, and then it's like it changed everything instantly, and then everything changes again later on. But
Yeah.
Spank starts like these record companies come in. Wind Up says, we're not getting into bidding war. This is, get you an attorney, and then let's see. So I still was friends with the attorney with Deborah Hannon in L.A., and I called and just find out Lindo knew him too.
Wow.
Because he was something to do with Stevie B and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And so we call him, and he goes, man, let me fly out to New York and see what they want. Well, now, attorneys don't just fly. They want a percentage. So he made a sign saying, I'm going to get a percentage of what it is. So he flies to New York. He calls us back and says, lesson from that was, now I attend every meeting. If it has to do with a negotiating contract, I'm going to be there. But none of us went. He went, calls me back and says, look, they're going to make y'all a one-hit wonder. They're just going to release Sweet Daisy the way it is. They beta test that it's going to fly. They're going to make some money, then they're going to go on. So the deal is $250,000. They're going to put you on the road with Blue October. What was that band? Blue October?
Blue October, yeah.
Going to put you out with Blue October and then do a stint with Creed to try and you had to pay these bands to actually go open up for them. It's not like you could. But they would take, and then they would roll song, and that would be 2 years of your life. It's like $250,000. We can't. We're making way more than that on our own.
Yeah.
So the attorney told me, turn it down. He said every other company's sending people to see you. I'm like, feeling kind of cocky. You go, okay, because all these record companies are coming, and then Hits Magazine sends a writer in, and by then we got a truck, we got a touring machine, we got gigs.
Y'all are rolling.
Like, we're booked 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
So it's like we're buying houses. Like we're not hurting, but our time is we're playing all the damn time.
Yeah.
And we finally quit Andy Smith Band at this point.
I remember.
And I remember like it was like I felt good about like because you can't make a living being in a rock band. I just didn't. And so when that happened, and this is about the time that you guys started like growing up and figuring out like and that's when things started really kind of for me getting where I'm getting kind of like I got to make a move. I mean, do I roll with this or do I? My kids are still young. I'm gigging 6 nights a week, but I sell it to myself by, well, a guy who works offshore, goes offshore for 7 days and comes back, so it's no different.
Yeah, right. Totally.
It's very different.
It's different. He got some insurance.
So it's like, so you go, the guy from Hits Magazine comes down, he comes out on the road with us. He writes us this fantastic article saying we're going to be the next Bush. Just like blows us up, and then it really gets crazy.
Y'all were pulling some massive crowds at this point.
Wasn't the crowds that was freaking me out? Was the record companies that were coming, and talking to us and whining and dining us, and all of a sudden rich people started coming around, like sponsoring this and that.
Yes,
and like it just got kind of. It happened so fast that, you got to write good songs, right? We weren't writing. we had that one record. Kim Stevens from Atlantic Records takes me aside. He goes, "What else y'all have?" I said, we have nothing. He's like, Matchbox 20, they write a song a day. It's like, Like, when are we supposed to write, bro? We're setting up, tearing down, traveling, setting up, tearing down, traveling. And on our days off, you know, once again, no cell phone and internet. I'm calling to book hotel rooms for the next foreseeable future. And
nobody hands you a playbook of all this stuff when you're putting a band together and going out on the road.
You got to go do this. Why?
Right.
I had I did some tours and stuff, so I kind of had, you know.
You had an idea.
But at the time, every guy in the band had a job.
Right.
And we all shared the money, and we all shared. Sound guy, light guy, Rob was as big a part of that band. Chad was as big a part of that band's success as any musician.
Absolutely.
We all shared the money. We all had the equal goal, and we all shared the work.
Yeah.
Well, once the record company started realizing we had one record, you know, they were like, you know, they started backing off.
Yeah.
And so, but by then we were already busy. The fame thing had kind of caught on to us. Going playing on, you know, like. And we're doing 300 gigs. One year we did 320 gigs in a year. And, like, that's when Chris Boas was like, I'm out.
Wow.
Well, first Blaine quit, you know, because Blaine had joined the band.
Yeah.
You know, just because either it's all or nothing. But I ain't been in this band rolling around the world, you know, trying to make. And so he was out. But in the meantime, we sold a bunch of those CDs on our own. And because of our name of our band, we could use, like, little crazy slogans like Got Spanked or Spank Me.
Yeah, or Spank You. Yeah.
Put them on the T-shirts. And we'd go play the beaches. Those things would sell like crazy. So the band was like making money, and it was just everything was rolling.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, you knew that it can't last. You know, it's just not that kind of buzz and momentum, even back then. But what I learned through all that in the beginning of it is the record business had flipped and changed on me without me knowing. Knowing what I know now, I'd have taken that deal from Wind Up and wrote that one song. Because now we'd go play Sweet Days at a casino for 30 minutes and get paid $30,000 instead of going playing for 3 hours for $3,000. Like,
yeah,
there's a big difference.
Yeah,
but at the time, I'm still thinking album deals. You know, I didn't know that the 360 deals had I thought I was smarter than that and understood the business.
Yeah,
but I really didn't.
You get caught up in the scene, man. It's not hard to get caught up in the scene.
You don't.
When you're rolling.
I didn't stay equal to technology and how people were listening to music. I'm still listening to CDs, but people had already. And Napster kind of changed it. Even though it was as legal as could be, and people it really disrupted things, and it made people realize that, hey, we can just listen to it streaming. We don't need to own anything.
Lars was right.
Lars was very right.
He was
so
right.
What happened with that was we want to blame the greedy companies and record companies for all that, but it's the consumer. It's how we purchase and listen to music. If we still bought a CD, which I'm not telling you to go buy a CD, but
they're selling convenience and we're buying it.
And we're buying it up, and it killed bands, you know.
And it killed record stores.
Yeah, record stores. Well, bands killed themselves because we started getting too good. Like I teach little kids, man, at the school, and I teach all these real big hits that the kids know, these 6 and 7-year-olds, and I realize those songs have 2 chords. And they repeat them over and over
Simple
again.
sales, man. Yeah, totally.
It's so simple. It's like we're trying way too hard.
Oh, totally.
Anyway, so it's like by then Spank, you know, all that had flipped on us. We started changing out members, and it's kind of too late for me to, you know, I'm 40 years old now. 10 years flies by, bro. And it's like the ride. And I'm thinking, man, this, you know, and then I just don't want to go on the road. It's like when you remember that earlier in the stories, I tell you that if I could play drums 7 nights a week, I'd be happy. Well, I was there, and I was dead wrong. I was miserable.
That was temporary happiness.
It was good for a little while, but then the chaos, like, you know, in the clubs and the people, the things, the chaos, just like no real ball. And as a guy would quit the band, I took over their responsibilities, but I'm still making the same as everybody else. And just like, you know, different people coming in the band and just causing chaos and because, you know, there is some money and there is some rock star that goes with that. And so,
totally.
So before we had cell phones where everything was video, things would get out of control. But keep in mind, I'm a married man. I call every break. I call my wife. First break, I go find a payphone, my little calling card, and pump it up with $300.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, when the summertime, my kids would come on the beaches with us. You know, that was their vacation. You know. And in Gulf Shores, we were kings of the world. So we got jet skis, we got condos, we got meal. You know, like we played for cheap, but we got a lot of fun stuff to do. And my kids loved it. You know, they would go out there. So they grew up.
Oh, it's a paid vacation for them, man.
Yeah, they grew up walking on on the stage. Like we'd play those. Remember the Cajun Heartland back then, man?
Back when it was good, I remember.
30,000 people would come.
Totally.
And like people would, and we would sell so much product that they barely pay. I'm not going to mention any names, but he would barely pay us.
Oh, Oh, hey, can y'all do it this year for this, and then I'll give you a good spot in
$800
everything next year.
This-
Yeah.
The cop told me, dude, there's 30,000 people here, and he's like, he paid it, and we're getting paid $800. But we sold so much product that we would sell $5,000-$6,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like when we go open up for Three Doors Down and those bands,
Yep.
we didn't have to pay, but we didn't get paid. And so the deal I made back then was, we want 100% of our merch, because you'd have to give a merch deal to the.
Totally.
And they were like, no problem. So we just undersold our T-shirts. Like Three Doors Down T-shirts would be $50. Ours would be $10.
Yeah. Right.
So we
Mop
sold
it
all
up.
our stuff. And one time we were playing with them, and we just had a run-in with one of those guys just recently. And then we were opening up for him at the PMAC, and I noticed the whole band sitting watching us sound check. And
They're cool guys, man.
Oh, they were very, very nice.
Yeah.
And then this guy comes up to me and say, "Hey, man, Three Doors Down's looking for a drummer, and wondering if you're interested." And I'm like, "Oh man." I said, they were cool guys. They weren't like my kind of band. And the drummer plays on all the records. So the drummer's
the singer.
guy. I mean, the singer plays drums on all the records.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I talked to the drummer earlier, and he goes, "Man, they're paying me like $400 a week." It's like, I got kids, So I was kind of, I said, "Look, I just signed, and we had just signed a new management deal, and I'm a key clause member of Spankware. One thing you should always know that, what's your, like, if you're just a drummer in a band, you're disposable, like you're not.
Totally.
Somebody can take your place any day of the week.
Absolutely.
You're not that, special. And I knew that by now. Like my ego's totally like, I get where I'm at. But as a songwriter, you can make more. So you always should learn, how to be more. Well, you have to now.
Get involved.
These days are over. You got to be involved in every aspect of
man.
your band. And I drove the truck only because it was peace and quiet in the truck. But all these things kind of are happening, and it's like, so I turned that gig down. But the drummer who took the gig, you know who he plays for now?
He came from Puddle of Mud, right?
No, he's playing with.
Oh, the other guy, yeah.
Adrian Young.
Oh, yeah.
He's playing with Nickelback. And
No
Nickelback
kidding.
offered him $1 million and to be a band member.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So-
Yeah, because when I was with Steel and Kane, we played with them at Grant Street. We did a few shows with them, and it was when they had the original lineup, and I became friend with Todd, their original bass player, and yeah, man,
Good
those
old boys
guys-
from Mississippi.
Yeah, and they were offered the small deal too, but they took it. But their relationship with WCPR is what launched them, so they cashed in like a mother.
Well, you got to, it's like people always say that, you're a slave to it, but like without that help, you can't do it.
Right.
We thought we could, and you just can't. And then and at the time, I was also a little jealous of them. Like they stole our thunder.
They were rolling, man.
They were rolling, and we were like still playing cover gigs all of a sudden. Like now we're, and it was
I know that's so deflating, man.
It was like, but we still were doing well. We were playing big festivals, and we do a second CD and a third CD. They don't amount to, like the second CD, we tried to go be a little more deep when we should have just wrote a bunch of Sweet Daisies, but we didn't do that. We went the other way.
Yeah.
And it's the same story over and over again.
It's a learning process, man. And you always learn too late.
But the drumming part of it, like I still love to play drums, but it was everything around it I couldn't stand anymore.
Yeah, totally.
It put me in I was like, man. So at some point, we finally, we get a Canadian guy to come play bass with us. He calls us some other drummers in the band, like all these things.
Yeah.
Band has an attorney at the time. We have an attorney that kind of helps us through some stuff. Like he's still trying to get us a deal. And at some point, he kind of has enough, and I'm going to move to Florida, to spare that whole story. But he goes to Florida to go try and just, play acoustic gigs and be happy. The circus was getting too much for all of us.
Yeah, right.
Like the circus was, like we had hundreds of people would follow us to gigs, and they expected you to be on point to party with them all the time.
Yeah. I remember y'all had a street team with
We had
the
a
flyers
street
and
team.
stuff. This is the thing that the younger bands missed out on, because that was so much fun, though. You have a street team, you go make flyers, then you go to Kinko's and you make 500 copies.
You know what our street team was called? The Spank Girls.
I remember, dude.
And they would come to gigs all over, and they would wear shirts, and it was, and it was like it was a different world, because you couldn't promote online. You had to do this whole thing, and but once that buzz creates for a band, it's hard to maintain it, but it's imperative to maintain it, and it takes a lot of energy, to keep. And here's the other thing that happens to you, like when you're drawing big numbers, and all of a sudden you play somewhere and it's a small number, and then another one. It kind of makes you start. Oh, are we going to get paid, or is this the beginning of the end?
You just wake up one day and the crowds are shrinking.
Crowds start shrinking.
Yeah.
Now you don't know that the world is changing.
Right. Totally.
Your crowd is getting married and having kids, and the new crowds aren't following bands anymore. They're on their phones flipping. They're not. Like those kids follow bands. Like we'd go play in Florida, and it'd be 300-400 people from Lafayette, there. Or we'd go play, and they're just looking for an excuse to make a trip, whether they liked it. I had one dude tell me, I can't stand y'all guys as a band, but
y'all pull the crowd and we party.
You go, we drum in that crowd. And a lot of girls like to come see y'all, so we.
There you go.
He's like, I said, I'm good with that.
Yeah, whatever works.
Charge. And then, by then, you just kind of like, and then when Heath went to Florida, my phone was ringing. Different bands were like, hey, and a lot of these bands were road bands. Like, man, that's what I said. I'm gonna start a school. I'd always teach. I never ever would not. Even when I was at the busiest, I would carry 2 or 3 students. I'd always, because that was my grounding, and I really loved teaching. What teachers did for me. I remember my mom told me one time was like, you remember, I complained to her not that long ago that if I have to teach one 9-year-old kid how to hold a drumstick, Lord, she goes, you're going to be that person's first musical experience. They're going to remember you forever. What you do and how you do it is probably the most important. And from then on, every time there's a person comes in my life that's going to be taught by me or the school, that's some
good advice.
I take that very serious. Like that's you're
going to shape
helping our language.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like the music that we say we want more intelligent listeners. Well, we better start teaching them.
Totally.
So that's kind of how by then, the early 2000s, I was like, I'm gonna start the school. But before I did that, I was trying to fall back in love with playing drums. By then, I didn't listen to music anymore. I listened to sports talk or political talk, or I just couldn't. Like I was just so overdone. So much music. So I went to a studio. A friend of mine gave me keys and said, "Do what you want in it." And he had a bunch of money in there. Like he had all these Neumann mics and all these API racks. I was like, man, I don't know how to use any of this stuff. So I started learning, and I thought maybe this is something I want to do, But in the meantime, I set up this massive drum set because I had bought a DW thinking that would make me feel better about playing drums on the road, but it was no different than the other drum set I was playing on. I was like, it's just another drum set.
Still exhausted when you finish.
I bought this drum set that I thought would be the ideal. Like when I grew up playing, I never ever had the drum set I always wanted. I always was envious of this gear. And then when I was most middle, I said, I'm going to buy everything I want. And me and Rob set up in a room, and for 2 months we built the kit with the racks, the snakes, what mics we were going to use, what heads. Rob was a sound guy, and he was man. I think we should do this. This had the kick, build a drum sound, man. I had and we had help setting up and tearing down. So I'm gonna pack this thing with gear, 2 snares and pads, and this stuff's gonna move. And it, built the cases, got everything in the truck, set it all up. First gig, played it. I was like, I really don't feel that excited. It's like, so in order to try to get back, by then I'm like an older guy, and I'm thinking I got to shift some gears. I set this massive kit up, and I'd been watching Terry Bozzio do his whole solo thing.
That's
and
crazy.
That intrigued me, and I was like, and the whole time I was on the road with Spanker, we'd play Alaska. They would give us 4 hours a day in a room to practice to write, because the whole reason we'd go there was to try and write songs. But the guys would end up getting involved in other things, so I'd go there and started working on some different patterns and things, because I'm still a practice junkie at heart, and I know how to do it. I know how to gain a certain technique if a certain thing I want to do, because I've been taught it till I'm blue in the face, so I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And I knew I had the discipline to do it, because it just takes some discipline. And so I started working on playing patterns with 5 with my feet and different things and being able to, and so I said, man, I'm gonna. So I built this wacky drum set. It had 3 bass drums, 4 or 5 snare drums, multiple where I could play different sounds and move around. And I decided to record. I recorded, 3 or 4 10-minute long little drum set things. All had a theme.
Compositions.
Totally just to get my rocks off, just to get it out of my system, and just to say.
Yeah, totally.
Because so I did that for about a month, messed around. While I was trying to start the school, when we started kidding, I met Scott. Scott was 18 years old, and
Scott Feehan.
Yeah, he sold me a hi-hat stand that I didn't even want or need, and I was like, man, this guy's incredible. Man, he's sharp. And as I got to know him, because I was going around all the music companies stores, going, I have an idea for a school. And they would all just offer me a room to teach in, and go, no, I don't want to just sit in a room and teach. I want people to play together. It's about relationships. This is about getting up there and playing.
Right.
It's like that's how you learn. And but they were, oh well, well, Scott was like, yeah, dig it, man. And Scott he's 18, no money. He had maybe it's a little, he had an idea of a drum shop. So we stayed kind of friends, and I realized that he was like a computer guy. And
yeah, totally.
Little spreadsheets and all that. I hate all that stuff, all that, it's like, so he had some things that I needed, and I knew that. I was like, man.
He built a name very quickly for himself.
He did. I had the fire and the passion for this.
Yeah.
And he had the ability to make this, and he saw my vision, and I saw his strength. We're total opposite human beings, but we got along.
Yeah.
As far as our skill sets. And then he started building that drum shop. He started, and what a terrible idea, a drum shop. Like, you want to lose money. Well, I mean, take one of the smaller things, just soon offer golf club shops. I mean, at least have more customer base.
Yeah.
But that shop did create an atmosphere. And
it was a great place for drummers to go hang out.
We started like the community of drummers. The community of drummers is very tight. Nobody hates each other. We all want to help each other. We
totally.
all call each other for gigs, for advice, for whatever.
Yeah.
If you call me at 1 o'clock in the morning and say my bass drum head broke, I'll say I'll bring you one. And Scott did that.
Yeah.
Like they went to the drum shop, got a head, and brought it to me. Ever since then, I carry 2 heads now. But it's like, it became this little hub, and we started teaching drum classes and stuff there, and it really started feeling like everyone should teach whatever it is they do, because we always take, we're always constantly just trying to take, like, music is a lot of what am I going to get paid, and it is.
Yeah, right. What's in it for me?
Teaching is like you're giving it back, and you're watching people, and you're like everything I'm saying today is like all my opinion and how whether it's right or wrong.
I totally agree though.
But teaching is that, it's like I always tell people, this is my opinion now. Like everybody has their pedagogy of drumming, and like rock drumming now is now being studied in colleges and stuff. It's not, but let's face it, when rock drumming started, it was people didn't know what the hell they were doing. Like I heard a drum pod, podcast, and the 2 drummers were talking, and one graduated from Miami and one graduated, and they said, I spent hours studying this jazz drum set, and they made me transcribe and everything, and in the end, when I thought about it, I just transcribed some jazz dude who's on heroin, couldn't even play it again. It's just a masterpiece, but it's like it made no sense for me to spend all those hours doing that, because in college they had that, it's like,
totally.
I get it.
Totally.
So we have all, so teaching became like, and now my philosophy of teaching is, I like, somebody walks in and says, you want to play drums? Like, why you want to play drums? They tell me. And I said, all right. Because I'm not the person who's going to be a cheerleader and go, you can do it, and everybody can do it. You can do it. But then here's how, and here's the downfall. And if you want, there is no more like if you think, once you've seen the wizard behind the curtains, it's kind of really hard to some people can do that and live with themselves and sleep at night. I can't.
Yeah, right, right.
So anyway, but I always say, like, okay, here's the 3 rules of drumming. Now these are my rules, so you don't go online and hate me for this.
It might be different somewhere else.
Is don't hurt yourself, don't hurt anybody else, and sound good what you're doing. Who am I to tell you can't hold your sticks like this?
Exactly.
And if you sound great and it ain't hurting you and you're not hurting anybody else,
good for you.
Knock yourself out.
Right.
And the great thing about like drum set in general was, do you know why drum set was invented? What brought it together?
No.
Economics.
Wow.
What year?
I have no clue.
1910.
I just know I love it.
Exactly. Because you hit them. Like it's like you go to 1910, that area, like before all of this.
Oh,
TV.
totally.
So every community had a band. Lafayette had a band. They played in the park. They had a bass drummer. They had a snare drummer. They had somebody playing trap stuff and a cymbal player.
Yeah.
And then they were playing a lot of marches. Boom, tap, boom, tap, boom, tap, boom. Really easy stuff. So Ludwig invented a pedals that you could put the bass drum on the ground. They could fire one of the guys, and just one person plays both parts. They also did them in the movie. Instead of movies, they'd go to plays, and they had music. The musicians went a pit.
Yeah.
The pit only had so much room. So they started, the hi-hat was invented, was a lowboy. And then it came up to the hi-hat. Because I was wondering, why is it called a hi-hat? It makes no sense to me. Where you got rid of the cymbal player. And then so it was called a trap kit back then for a reason.
Yeah.
So one person played all the parts. Instead of 4, so they could pay just one person. Now, drumming is the oldest instrument other than the human voice, and it was used for what? Celebration, dance, communication. All drummers in those days were gods, man. We were spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
And we were, now we're just scumbags.
You're a drummer.
No, but they were, oh, you're a drummer? You're the guy that hangs out with the musicians?
Yeah.
But drummers but the drum set itself is the second youngest acoustic. Pans are the youngest, the steel drums, like from the all drums from Trinidad and all that. But the drum set itself is not really that old. So by you say I love it because it is a vehicle for whatever the heck you want, whatever your opinion. Now, granted, with all those things being said, if you want to play with other people, you have to kind of fit in these guidelines, right? Like you're not going to always because of joy, but at the same time, you can kind of fit that group of people you want to fit. And this thing is still it's a cylinder with heads that go boom and crash. You know the way we crash cymbals? It actually voids the warranty as soon as you hit it like that. Because the cymbal's supposed to be hit like that.
Yes.
And as soon as we do, we all play like that.
Oh,
what fun is that? Boom.
Bam. It looks cool.
As a young person, I used to teach adults would come in and they would be doctors and attorneys and stuff. And I go, why do you want to play drums? He goes, because I want to beat on something. Feels good. I just want to learn enough. Like, I don't want to be good. I just want to be able to play Eagles songs. And I want to be able to play Motley Crue and just pound on my drum. I said, okay. Well, and that's like the one thing about that the drum set can do is like, because it's natural and it's movement, you have little muscles, big muscles, all that you're using within your technique, that every drummer is going to sound a little bit different.
Totally.
And you can knock. Like, when I hear people talk about Tommy Lee, who's drummer for Motley Crue. Now, as a person, not my favorite dude, but as a drummer, you cannot deny.
He's solid.
And I'll tell you quick. So I was rehearsing with that band Neighborhood Threat, and we were in the D room. Bantango was in the C room. Slaughter was in the B room, and Motley Crue was in the big room. And I met him, and they come walking. And then when they started playing, because they would roll an extra PA, and he had all these double, stuff. He let me go in there and play on his drums and stuff. But when they started playing, you absolutely knew that was Tommy Lee playing the drums. All that big, it's like, wow. I mean, it was shocking.
Oh, yeah.
Shocking to hear him play.
Power and tone.
But the groove.
Yeah, man, he's
always
solid.
Had that quarter note pulse. Mm-hmm. That big bang, bang. Anytime you're trying to, like, we teach kids to play, like Dr. Feelgood, and like we do, at the school, we do shows. So we teach music through performing. So we do themed shows. And we did
For those of you who don't know, Joe has the School of Rock in Lafayette.
Oh yeah, I forgot to go there.
Yeah,
but it's a beautiful places where like the community really helps me out with venues. Like we'll get to that. Like, but like we did a Motley Crue versus Guns N' Roses show where the kids learned these two. That show was hard. We're thinking that it would be easy. It was so hard. So hard to teach to the kid. And the kids would play these driven eighth note patterns instead of that big quarter note pulse, learning those songs, just like, man. And how do you get them to, because then, like, every drummer kind of, like I said, we all have our own way of doing things that kind of make, like you and I have two different ways of playing, but we can both pretty much do the same gigs because we kind of grew up underneath some of the same circumstances.
Yeah.
So our thought process and our ears are kind of the same, but our techniques are very, very different.
Totally.
Like the song Sweet Daisy, it has within the groove, boom, say it does this. All the little cymbal things and stuff is ripped off that I used in the 90s the early 90s, late in LA, when drummers were using more like articulate things and not just, and that was part of, but it didn't, you wouldn't even know it's there because the groove is, and when that song was being written, like Linus came up with the acoustic first part with the chimes. Yeah. Then Christian comes in with that dude. He always plays his melodic bass line. So I was like, man, this is like, so it wasn't like this don't it was like, and then Chris Boaz came up with a chorus and he was putting together words and I was like, man, the drum groove's got to it's kind of bounce all over that, like it's going to take a little piece of everything that's going on. Yeah. So I use when you say dynamics, like some people think dynamics loud to soft, but there's dynamics within the groove, right? We were just talking about shuffles. A big part about a Texas shuffle is the dynamics within the groove. Because if you just play that sucker, gang, 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 people are going to turn around and start throwing stuff at you. All that's got to move. So it's the same kind of way with this kind of groove where the groove between, whether it's the 5-stroke thing I'm doing here, and I had used similar things before. That was pretty... And that wasn't in vogue at the time, but at the time we were making music that wasn't supposed to be popular anyway. So it's an example of every musician contributes something to the table, and drummers can do that. It's harder now because we're put on a grid, and we're just turned into every record I play on now. They don't even let me play the whole song. They say, give me except when I used to do records for Deej.
Give me a verse and a chorus, and then I can loop.
They chop it all up together. Especially you go play with Tony. Then they fly in their samples, and the sound replace everything. It's like that sounds like whatever.
Yeah.
But like Spanx for a City, I hated the way it sounded. Because it sounded kind of like. But now it had its own sound. So now I hear it. But back then I wanted us to sound like if you put in a modern song, it's compressed to where it's just loud.
Yeah. Back then you were going against everything Brendan O'Brien was putting out there, and it was just unbelievably incredible.
Yeah. You had to let go. And so, but what it did was it separated, it gave that band character. It gave that band some longevity because of and so at the school, when I'm teaching, I keep an open mind. Like the kid, the adult or the kid or the student. Sometimes I get really experienced players come in that they know I'm a technique guru and that I know how to help people with technique issues or say longevity.
Yeah.
You want to play forever. Those of you who don't know this, drumming is super physical. And Peter Criss from Kiss couldn't play anymore because, he just did not play right and take care of himself. Neil Peart was in pain because he didn't play right.
Yeah.
He played too. Like you have a wood stick, you have a hard rim or a cymbal, and if you hit it a certain way, the shock's going to be transferred from there to there to there.
It's like stomping your feet when you run.
Yep. It's if you don't figure those things out, So with that being said, it's like certain technique, like I want to be able to drive something a little bit different. I'm a believer in say I use my hi-hat, you probably use it this way, but don't think about it. You just do it because you just drum totally. Unfortunately, I study drumming too much, so like all those things kind of but when I'm playing, I throw it all away. And I just play drums. If you never see me play, I'm gonna flip my because we're entertainers. We're not artists, man. I'm throwing my sticks in the air. I'm juggling. I learn some things when it's you know who Glenn Sobel is, the drummer, Alice Cooper.
I love him.
He knocks me for.
He goes, he's great.
He did back stick because I had beat him in a Guitar Center drum off 100 years ago. And boy, he just because I back sticked on my hi hat, and he's like, "That's why you beat me." It's like, but we chit chat, But he's like, like a big part of what is like. We play big because the band I'm in can do that, right? Like if I was in a different band, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I remember I had academia people that come and see me play. They go, your drums and mic, you don't have to hit them that hard. I said, people don't pay $20 to see me play a cocktails gig,
Yeah.
They want to see you maul the drum set. It's part of it, It's like and it also delivers a different kind of energy. I do play down, I'll play soft. But when it does get up, it gets up.
You know? That's right.
And if you physically can't do it anymore and deliver that, Spank would sound terrible if I played like the age that I am. It's like you still got to deliver.
Yeah.
That, That's now when we book new gigs, people say, well, how long y'all play? I say, we do 2 hours. I don't even give them the option for the 3 sets and all that. We're going to play 2 hours and go home.
That's it. That's
some
beautiful.
bite, some go, well, could y'all, But anyway, it's like all of that being, it's like, so when you're teaching, you kind of take what you think that person's going to do. If they're going to, and the ones who really have it, then you can really come down on them. Like today, you can't get hard on people because they'll quit. They will quit, and their parents will let them, or the adult, they just quit when it gets tough.
I know.
And the reality is, like, to gain, like, you gain your technique from playing. You just play all the time. So, and by necessity, you had to learn how to do these things.
I found out what hurt and what didn't hurt.
And how to feel. And your brain, you're smart enough to process the information and go, okay, well,
Yeah.
And I just heard it, how I'm going to sound good. You have great ears, you're going to sound good. That's why you do well with your air gigs
and
because
stuff.
your ears dictate what needs to be done right away. You don't have to fumble around, and you can play with a click, and it's valuable to people.
Absolutely.
And usually you probably might talk to that person, get to know them a little bit, and then say, I know exactly what this dude wants. They'll probably drop a name or two, and
absolutely,
say, I'm gonna deliver you that.
Yep,
and you don't
totally.
you don't deliver what you don't say. I'm gonna put my Brian Petry spell on it. I'm gonna give that guy what he wants.
Whatever you want.
And
That's
then. Makes you same way you got to drum all. Like in Spank, Heath is the number one, whether I like it or not.
He's the salesman.
He's not the salesman, but he's what people are coming to see. It ain't always,
Yeah.
it's like he's especially back then, and he's known for forgetting words and going into the wrong verse, and so in my ears, people go, my drum set's pretty low. He's pretty loud. His guitar and especially, and it's like, I will help take the band into directions where, like, it used to drive Justin crazy because Justin would always, it'd take him a while when he was in the band to navigate, hey, bro, we're going to this verse, not this one.
Right.
He's off in his own guitar world.
Programmed.
Yeah. But I'm like, we're going to, and so just because you don't ever want to let that, well, and, tempo-wise, some drummers get offended. We don't use clicks and tracks and stuff, so some drummers get offended if somebody does this to them. They go, but now our relationship is he just trusts my tempo, even though he might not like it. He won't say nothing. And then sometimes I'll hear, oh man, I'm too fast on like Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. That song needs to be slow.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But I'm guilty of playing it, and now I know it's too fast just by what it feels like.
Yeah, right.
Because I played it. It's like, I guarantee you I've played.
The record is really slow. It's really slow.
But like say Man in the Box, I bet you anything I played that song more than Alice in Chains played it. I played it at least 7,000 times.
And they play it about 5 or 6 clicks faster live too. So.
But people are,
adrenaline, man. It's gonna depending on the crowd. It's gonna affect the way
people forgive
you
the
play.
original artists would do it, but they ain't gonna forgive a band that's redoing it.
Exactly.
Like then you're butchering their But if Stone Temple Pilots plays it with a train groove, people go, oh, it's being creative and artistic. If we did it, it'd be like, you just ruined a song.
Yeah.
No, but all those things like gigging and like playing, like when you start teaching, and and that's probably where I'm going to finish my career is, like I'm at the end of mine. It's like 61, I'll be 62 in this month. And you got to start thinking, well, I'm going to keep doing it as long as people come see me. But eventually it's going to stop, And,
totally.
And I love it now more than I did a few years ago, where it's like I don't take it all so serious anymore. And, and part of what we do at the school is like we create shows and like Stan and them who have the ruins. Like they just open the doors for me. Like on Fridays, our little camp, we do these little camps.
Yeah.
We did a best of 2000 camp last week. They opened the door Thursday night. I go set in. They give me the iPad. I use the PA, the $100,000 worth of PA in there. They just turn it all on, and then they lock me in there and leave. I set up all the gear. I mic everything up. I have a scene set on there, and I put the lights. Next morning, the kids, the final day of camp, come to the ruins at 8:30 in the morning.
Start running the show. Yeah.
They're in a bar. Like the drummer was 8, 9 years old in last week's camp. And they get up there, I run sound, turn the PA on, they do some run-throughs, and they play for their parents. By noon, Stan doesn't ever say, what am I going to get out of this? Ever. Because they see same with Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll will open their doors.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they just open their doors to those, because, they see, we're not getting rich doing this, but they also see that, man, this is important, because our industry is shrinking, and shrinking, and the business of it is difficult to navigate. Is how we get paid. Like you probably did it the smartest. You got a job and you play drums. You don't have to play drums, but you play because you want to.
You enjoy it so much more when you don't depend on it.
Think about it. If you got to go make that $200 playing Brian Eyed Girl, like a shot her.
Yeah. Oh no. Hurricane season really used to stress me out down here. Because the whole Gulf Coast can shut down on you. And it's like when you're doing it full time and dependent on money, depending on that as your primary job, it could be really stressful.
And you don't have savings to navigate it. The first thing I did when I started making money, though, was I'm going to put 2 years of living expenses.
Yeah.
So if I break my arm or anything goes wrong, I can live for 2 years while I heal, or I make decisions. And hell, I'll be a truck driver and drive a hotshot driver if I have to do whatever I got to do to make a living. I'm not too proud, but
right.
But getting back to like where when you do the full circle in drums, I'm back to I still have a trouble listening to music because I teach it all day long, and then I play gigs on the weekends. And when you're teaching, even like what you're doing right now, we're one-on-one, so you're giving me your full attention.
Yeah.
I'm giving you my full attention.
Yeah.
And if you do that for 6 hours, you have no attention left to
Exhausting.
give anybody.
Exactly.
And if it's drumming and it's loud and it's constantly putting headphones on and off, and you're going through these things, and the room gets hot because whatever. But it's every different people walk in, kids, adult, different needs, and it's just constant. So people say, "What do you do on your off time?" And I say, "I got a sailboat, and I put the sails up." And I just go quiet, or I go fishing.
Go listen to the water, yeah.
And it was when I was in my learning years. I'm still we're always learning, but when I was really, really like seeking out Terry Bosie, I went to a clinic, and he once said that he used to practice those 10-hour, 12 hours, and so did I. And he goes, "You're wasting probably 6 hours of that. You're a better musician if you have a complete life, a well-rounded life. You have what happens when your hobby becomes your job?"
Yeah, man.
What happened? What happened to you?
Oh, it definitely, it becomes less enjoyable. It becomes stressful. It gets to the point where you just want to totally step away from it for a little while because you don't love it like you used to.
And then what happens when you can't because you need the money? You get jaded. You get a little bit on the dark side.
Totally.
And then then you start, how do I say this? Not giving it your all.
Yeah,
you start
right. Phoning it in.
You start phoning it. And I try not to do that, man. If there's 3 people out there,
I've never seen you phone it in.
I'm gonna play for those 3 people. And
yeah.
3 people are harder to play for than 30,000. Because 3 people, you can see the look on their face, and they say, "Please don't walk out, because we'll have 2 people."
Totally.
But it's like, but I still love to play drums.
Me too.
Like the hell. Like, I don't drink and drum because we're in a bar most of the time, and that's an issue with musicians. I did some small pop gigs with Tommy McLean and
oh yeah,
and
I'm not in it for the party, man.
Stephen Kazafi was playing bass and lead, and it was Tony Ardoin said, "Man, come play drums for these." And so I went to Gigi Shin's club and I played, and I met these guys. And you know what blew me away about it? These guys were in their 80s, like they each get up and do 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah,
the most they could do. They're still dealing with the same problems they dealt with. So and so's on crack, and, like, man, we're gonna go to Europe. We're gonna get $200 a man. I'm listening to them going,
y'all are.
Holy smoke! It's like it's the same stuff that's about and they're 80-year-old men, and it's like, and no none of them, bro. Like my most proudest moments in my career would be my wife and kids.
Totally.
38 years. My wife knows who I am. She accepts who I am. She supports who I am. And without that, it's really, so that grounds you to I have a life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is not everything for me. Like that is. This
right.
is just and so by doing that, it helps me. And sometimes you lose focus of that, where this becomes like you get a little disgruntled that I got to get up at 6 in the morning so it's cake and catch the bus. Well, now I got grandkids, so I ain't got to get up with them. They do. But it's like, but this and having a life and other things and a hobby besides this makes you a better player. And you're nicer to people, and you're able to communicate with people more.
Totally.
Because like we got to communicate. If we don't,
communication is the key to everything.
Strangest gig I ever played was a friend of mine. And Chris, what was his big gig? He had a big blues gig. It was one of these guys that was in Where Art Thou, that movie. He had a blues song. But in between his gig, he played at the Famous Store on Bourbon Street, Wednesdays through Saturday. And he would call me and say, "Hey, man, can you come sub my gig for me? Because I'm going on the road." And I'd be like, yeah, what does it pay? He goes, "Well, I usually make about $300-400. I'm like, cool. But he didn't tell me that it's 8 hours. And you don't repeat a song. So I say, "Well, what song? You gonna send me a set list?" It's all those songs Like if it, it's like Pour Some Sugar on Me, Sweet Child of Mine. So I get there.
Oh no!
I never met a band member. So you've got to pay $20 to park your car, and then you bring your cymbals and your snare drums and your pedals. Well, I bring my throne everywhere because I'm an old man, and thrones that I don't like, my prostate doesn't like.
Oh, totally.
I go to this gig and I walk in the club, and old rusty old drum set. I put my cymbals up and stuff, and then the bass player walks in. He goes, "What's up, man?" Guitar player, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "Man, I know you." He goes, "Yeah, I used to play with Afro Man. We did some shows." He goes, "Oh yeah." So we were kind of talking, but in the meantime, the rest of the band walks in. Guitar player just starts playing. Didn't even tell me what song it was.
Oh,
and I looked at him. He goes, "Oh, whatever," So.
Let's go.
And so the guitar player was the king at Q's. Like he ran the band, and and his wife was the singer. There was like 5 singers in there. One of the Neville's sons was in the band. Was incredible.
Wow.
But never met any of them. We just started playing.
Wow.
And we just started playing like crowds are drunk. You know, the girl is like, they're playing for tips, right? She's hitting people on the head with a tip bucket to make them pay. I mean, just hostile, bro. It's like 2.5 hours go by. We finally take a break.
Wow.
2.5 hours of playing, and then I go outside and I get a piece, and I go, man, how much? Well, we just usually keep playing as long as it's a crowd. So take a 30-minute break. So we take 30 minutes. I go eat a piece of pizza from the street, go back up, another 2.5 hours. Take another break. I'm like, man.
Wow.
So
That's like 2 gigs.
I find a hot dog, go back up, another 2 hours. 3 o'clock in the morning, bro.
Oh, God.
Never repeated a song. Never repeated a song.
Wow.
And they sounded incredible the whole time. You know, like it was like, but he was like, and at the end of the gig, the guy goes, man, you interested in this gig? You can make about 50 grand a year. I said, absolutely not.
Hell no.
I was like, no wonder all you dudes are on drugs. But it was like, and then I remember I was talking to Tracy, and he was like, man, you want to be a good drummer? Go play on Bourbon Street for about a year. And that's like boot camp. You're gonna learn to, you know.
Sink or swim, for sure.
You're gonna play some New Orleans style. You're gonna play some second line. You're gonna play country, swing, rock, sweet child, and it's like,
Yeah.
if you like, people knock drummers who play in cover bands, but it's like, man, if you play every hit songs ever made, then you're learning how to be marketable.
You got some versatility. Yeah.
And if you're like, you're probably a little bit like me on this, where it's like I separate my drumming, where I have Joe the drummer that wants to have fun, like when I did that whole CD of. And then I have Joe, the drummer, business. Like, this is the business part of drumming. And the business part of drumming I take very serious. If you're going to pay me, then, like, if I'm going to go play with you,
I'm going to do what the artist wants me to do.
I'm going to do everything I want. And then I'm going to try. And if I feel like I'm not doing a good job, I'm going to tell you, man, I don't think this is my gig, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
Like, if somebody calls me for a salsa gig in town, I can play the grooves because I teach it and I understand it. But I'm going to say, call Troy Brill or, you know, go Frank Kinsel, because
those guys.
They can play that stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, you know, like, I know we got to make people dance. I mean, I know that's what we're doing, because it feels good when you're playing, right? And people are dancing, you're looking at
Absolutely.
Like, this is, you know, and once you get rid of, like, your younger thought processing of, man, I'm full of, you know, I just want to play. I want to show everybody what I can do, to, I really just want to see somebody enjoy what I'm doing. And
Totally.
And then you kind of learn about your equipment, right? Like I told you earlier, I started running sound and I said, man, cymbals suck. These little bitty old stages, all I hear is cymbals going into vocal mics. That totally changed the kind of cymbals I use. I don't even use the China in small clubs anymore. Well, I don't use the China because it hurts my shoulder to go over there. So and then I realized writing songs, when I started writing, like I went to college for music, so I knew piano and all the theory. But I learned guitar just by shapes and forms, because I just wanted to play by ear to write better songs. I didn't want to be, and the incredible thing is, the last thing I thought about for the song that I was writing is the drum parts. And then when I went to put the drum parts down, I put the most simplified, most thing that would lift up, because I'm proud of the song and I don't want the drums. And it changed the way I played. You know,
totally.
Like, so if I go play, you know, it's like when I would do those I would do gigs with Deej, and Deej is kind of like like throwback to the 70s. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Just with, you know, just playing atmospheric. Some songs were like, but then when you go in the studio and you're trying to recapture that in a Pro Tools, it's like this.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Think about this: Honky Tonk Woman by Rolling Stones. Everybody go listen to it. It starts off with one tempo and it ends totally. If you would have put Honky Tonk Woman in the Pro Tools, it probably wouldn't be the song. You wouldn't
that would not
it's
work.
All
on the
the
grid.
tambourine doesn't line up. Nothing lines up. Listen to the song, and you can even start your little metronome. Click the cowbell. Coo 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 coo. By the time it ends,
yes, they're
it's
excited.
Just cruising. I like that.
Yeah.
I miss that.
It's human. Yeah.
I wish we went back to the way Jimi Hendrix and all that played, but you can't do that anymore. That all kind of. Like the way we record and we do things is a little bit different, but at the same time, you could do other things. But it's like, that's what, you know.
Yeah.
We got to get on it, you know, on all that. So when you're teaching people, or you're playing with people, or you whatever, you just kind of vibe what's happening.
Totally.
Then just give yourself to it, and you'll have way more fun than trying to fight it. church gigs. You played a bunch of church gigs. We both have played the same church gigs.
Years.
You understand what that is, right?
Totally.
Like, there's a formula to that.
Totally.
You know? The highs, the lows. Like, probably half the drummers you had, Andre and all them, they all do. You know, church gigs was we can make some money on Sunday and go to church at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, it's playing to tracks. And you're going to start out hot, you're going to go down, you're going to bring it up, then you're going to go back down, and then
You
the
gotta watch
clock's going
that
to tick
timer
zero.
for when they start that roll-in video. You
You
better
in.
be done. Yep.
And then so it's just, I guess I would imagine it's the same way, like working musicals. I played for some of the, you know, it's like all fun. I like big production stuff.
I love
because
it.
I don't do a lot of it.
Right. Me
So
too.
whenever I have like charts and I have cues and I have sound effects and things like that, I always thought it'd be fun to play for a circus or something for a while. You ever see what their setup they have? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it'd be a whole nother world, you know, to where, you know, because let's face it, you know, if you get kind of in the gig you play, you get, you know, and then right now at this point in my life, if I tell my wife that I'm going to go play a gig for fun and I get paid, she's going to be like, what?
You?
The hell
What you
you
doing?
are? You going to sit in my house and we're going to have a date night.
Yeah.
No, but she would. But it's like you got to kind of know that, like playing with Deej was like that. But when we go to record, it was really difficult to try and harness all that energy with a click, you know, or making
Totally.
that. And the records were a little bit different than what his live stuff was, you
Yeah.
know, where, and he would always want that. And boy, it was just trying to deliver it was like, and then we try to turn the click off in the studio and like, whoa, man, that just, you know.
Yeah.
And so the worlds were having hard because like,
That's when it just takes seat time, man. You know, it's just.
yeah.
It's,
Well, Mark,
it in the studio, it's expensive. Right. That box.
everything fits in that box, bro,
Yep.
so we know where it's going to go, how it's going to market.
Totally.
Last thing a rec company ever told me was like, we were towards the end of our first thing, and we were playing with Louisiana LaRue, and Leon Medical was still alive, and
Oh, wow.
he saw us, and he was like, man, who y'all signed to? I said, nobody. He goes, you're kidding me. I said, no. He said, he goes, you mind if I shop you to some friends? And I said, knock yourself out. We've been turned down by everybody at least 5 times. And Sony Records called me. And,
Wow.
And the guy in Sony was very nice. And he was like, you know, he said, the music you sent me was too diverse. It's like we don't have a marketing package for this band, and we're not going to make a marketing package. There's no place for this band to fit. So, you know, back then we still weren't able to use, we just quite didn't know how to use the internet how it was being. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I would record songs and I'd offer it for free on my own vehicle, and I would say, donate what you think it's worth. And I guarantee you make way more money doing it that way.
Absolutely.
Just
yeah.
donate to me what you think this song is worth.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for 10 cents. I'm not asking for 9 cents. I'm not asking for $10. Just PayPal me what you think this song is worth. You know, and that's how I wouldn't put it on all the streaming because people want to be proud that their music's on iTunes or their.
How are you going to track it anyway?
Yeah.
You heard Snoop talking about that. You know, give me the formula so I can figure out how much money I'm making or not making on these streaming platforms.
Taylor Swift is making all your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like they're like it's given, and that was told to me that it's like
Yeah.
the big people are gonna consume the majority, and but when you're small, you're like, I'm happy I'm being played.
Exactly.
I'm happy I'm relevant. When you're like, I remember like I have a stick endorsement with Vader, and when you first get your first endorsement, you feel like, man, I've arrived. And then COVID came along. Well, I forgot about being arrived. It was a long time ago. And then it's like, then I realized that they're still making money off me. It's like but they know that I'm teaching and they know that I'm doing all these things. And
Yeah.
COVID comes along and there's a shortage of wood. And so I call them from, after COVID was over, they opened up, we start playing. I didn't have any sticks. So I call them, my artist rep, and oh yeah, man, I'll put your order in, make sure you can. No sticks. Call them again. Oh, I don't know what happened. What was happening was I'm peoned, and so like bigger players,
Yeah.
they were shortage of wood. So they just
Prioritize everything.
prioritized it.
Yeah.
Guitar Center got their sticks.
Totally.
Because I could order those same sticks from Guitar Center and get them.
All right.
Couldn't
Yeah.
get them through. And so then I started going to Frank and said, I brought him a stick and said, can you make the stick for me? And I'll buy them from you.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since. I just like, I love, and then I can say.
You were using I know which
those
ones you were
fat
using.
backs.
The fat back.
Yeah, 3As. And so it's like, Frank will make that, but he'll use the wood. Like sometimes, you'll get a brick of sticks and it'll be It'll be some are heavy and some are light, or you
Yeah.
kind of go through. I'll say, Frank, make it all from this way to this in the middle, and he will pick out the wood and do that for me. And
That's
then,
awesome.
Now you just got to have 40 pairs made at a time because his machine breaks a lot. No, I'm just but he'll make those sticks. He'll
Frank.
take care. He goes, "No, put your name." I say, "Yeah, no, just print them however. I don't really care. Just I
Yeah.
want it this long. This I want to put it on my 16-inch floor tom and fit. I want to pick it up and play it. If it's all kind of same, You don't need to match the pairs. You don't need to sleeve it.
Right.
Just rubber band the bundle. Here's $300. Give me my stick. You know?
Right.
And that's a year for me. Like I don't play. I used to burn through some sticks and cymbals. I probably spend $10,000 a year on cymbals.
Oh, God.
I still crack a lot, but I buy them all through the school now. That way,
Yeah.
it keeps my world kind of square. It's like, but it's like equipment is a problem for drummers. Like every time I hear a guitar player complain about string, like and how many pairs of sticks you think you go through on a gig? One might make it, one might not.
Yeah. Thank you to Dario. Pro Mark Evans, thank you.
Plug 'em. It would be expensive. And then
Oh, my
The
gosh.
people who say, "Can I have a drumstick?" I say, "You got $5."
Yeah, right. Hey, that's the thing. I got signature sticks, so when you customize them like that, they're a little bit more even with an endorsement.
Nobody gets free stuff anymore.
Oh, no.
No one.
No.
Terry
So-
Bozzio maybe.
Yeah.
And you know who else gets a free kit? Morgan Rose. Poochie bills it right, and Poochie didn't even work for him anymore. But Pearl sends the drums to Appaloosas. Poochie bills it, and then they
Sends
goes
it
on
on.
the road.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we don't get those anymore.
No.
Nobody gets free stuff no more.
Yeah.
Which understandably,
Totally.
like it's you can get deals, and I don't even know what I was paying for sticks with Vader. And I wasn't like pimping the company because I love those sticks.
I know
and,
you
and
did.
the reason
I remember you were
was
playing them, yeah.
These are my sticks. This was made for me, So
Yeah.
but it was a popular stick for what we would that kind of. And then I remember I was at the Guitar Center. And I was buying in Houston. I was buying a brick, and the Guitar Center rep was there, and he was like, "Are you endorsing Vader?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Do you want to?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure."
Yeah.
And I thought he was full of shit and went on.
Right.
And then he came and saw me. He came and saw me at the club we were playing. Probably was it on the
Outback
Wednesday night?
Pub.
The big beer
Yeah,
night.
big ass beer night at
what was
Outback
that?
Pub.
We were playing there. He came that Wednesday night. Anyway, he called. Chad Brandolini called me and said, "Hey, so and so, send me what you got." And I can't give you sticks, but at the time it was like $2 and something a pair. And I was like, hell yeah. Because I would blow through a brick as 12 pair. I would do about 2 bricks a month.
Wow.
Maybe a little more. So it was a lot.
I remember when we would play in places after y'all, like with Steel and Cane, we would go to Outback Pub just a couple of nights after y'all left there, and I would see the broken sticks or the butts on the back of the stage. I was like, "Yep, Joe was here."
Back then I didn't clean up. I clean up after myself. Now I feel bad.
Oh no!
Back then I was in such a hurry to get out of that club.
Oh, my God.
Like I just wanted to go to a hotel room.
Y'all had such a production that y'all were working on most of the group.
What's
So that
funny?
was a lot,
We'd hire roadies, and roadies thought it would be a dream job because they were fans of the band first.
right?
And we would hire them, and as soon as you started paying them, they wanted to party, and then it became reality, and they would be like, "Man, they would
It's
be
a lot of work.
I was like, you know what? And I remember telling one, I was like, you know what? For what we're paying you, I'll just pay myself that money, and I'll just do it, and I don't have to get a hotel room for you. Because towards the end, Spank was getting 5 hotel. You know how expensive that is?
Oh my gosh!
Even with yesterday's prices, it was like, say Spank made $1 million a year, but we spent
A
so
lot.
much.
Yeah.
We could make a middle class living, but it was like, man.
Yeah.
And like the truck, I had a mechanic. That was our mechanic. That like if the truck would break. Like we fixed our truck one time. It's on video. We had this we were on our way to play a festival in Montgomery. And the truck broke down. It just quit. Boom. The engine was running, but we just had no pedal. And at the time we had a publicist, and she's just calling us. "Hey, where y'all at?" I said, "We're on the side of the road." "You're kidding me!" It's like, and I had it was one of those Nokia cell phones when everybody could afford a cell phone. And
Yeah.
I don't regretted that cell phone. I was like, "Oh my God, she's in my ear." So we're on the side of the road. I look at it, and the throttle cable broke. So me and Rob go. I said, "Man, when we had these bolts that we used to clip the lighting truss together." I got 4 of those and some washers, and I had a coat hanger, and I cut the coat hanger, made a loop, tied the cables and screwed them tight with the bolts, and then did it again, like made loops and we're good to go. We do the gig. We get back. I bring the truck to the mechanic. He pulls it out. He looks at it. He goes, "Man, y'all made it all the way there and back?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "Can I have this?" And he hung it on his wall at his shop because he said, "I had never seen." It's like you did what you had to do to figure things out back. Like before the phones, you broke down. You had to climb in the van and go find a phone, get a rental truck, come back, get a payphone, call the mechanic. He would answer, and he'd be like, "All right, leave the truck. I'll find a tow truck to go get it wherever you were." And then he would communicate whatever shop it would go to while you finished your tour.
Remember, I was with Andy when our truck caught on fire.
That's like a burnt.
While we were driving. Oh, it burnt to the ground. That
all
was
the gear.
Insane. All the gear. That was nuts.
I mean, those things, the reality, it's like it's... And there's so many like road horror stories. I can't tell half of them because you'll either get people in trouble or it's like,
right.
But I mean, I've done everything from bailing a bass player out of jail for selling drugs on the gig and finishing the gig to being friends with the cop who arrested him.
Yeah.
And then like all those kind of little things that don't happen to normal people.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking to our new bass player Matt, who I love, and I love him because he's
a good guy, man.
Well, he just shows up, does his gig, doesn't complain.
Totally.
On time.
Yeah.
Doesn't overplay, doesn't underplay. Just
right. He plays a part,
and he does the video stuff. On our video wall, so I don't have to figure that out. He
That's
does that.
nice. Yeah.
But anyway, he was like, I was talking to him. I was like, yes, civilians just can't. He goes, civilians, I like that.
Yeah,
right. People who have not done that, it's like they just don't understand like why we are the way we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
You get knocked on the head enough.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this because look, we can, like you said, we got stories for probably 25 episodes.
Absolutely.
At least. But if you were to give advice to a young and up and coming drummer who wants to get into this, what would you say is the most important advice you could give to somebody wanting to do what we've done for so many years?
To stay humble, to remember that you're just a part of it and you're not it, would be the number one thing. And also that stay human. Like, people have problems and faults, and don't be so quick to judge. Like, a lot of bands get into trouble because they start judging each other or,
totally.
And then, keep some sort of, I'm a big into keeping your roots and your family and who you are, the character. So if success starts coming your way, it doesn't derail you from your morals and your character.
Oh,
and we live
totally.
in a world where we're judged so quick now. You don't have no room to make mistakes. The physical part of it, the playing part, it's we get fed information too much, too fast. So we don't Brian, when you were learning, you heard Tom Sawyer on the radio, and you spent the next year of your life learning how to play it, touch it. Now it's they move on so fast that they don't.
Yeah.
It's like they say to master something you need 10,000 hours. That's a golf guy book said that. It's like, and I believe that. And so now we're not mastering anything. And then we also don't possess suck awareness. We don't know we suck at it. We just we're just
Totally.
moving. So all this information is coming to us about, and so we're not living it. Like when I was younger, I got a piece of information. I'm not saying what I did was right. I'm just saying if you get some information, live with it, experience it, exhaust it, make it your own.
Totally.
Come to the next piece of information. Stay within where you are. Don't jump way ahead of yourself, and because you'll when you we're so much in a hurry to be great that we forget that these are the steps it takes to be great. And then seek out help. There is so much, I know there's a lot of online tutorials, and there's a lot of online videos, but you can't beat a relationship with a mentor or a teacher, someone who's going to, there are plenty of drummers who would say, give you advice, hang out, come to a show with them, see, and to know that it ain't the dream world, understand the realities of it. Don't be, that young person needs to know that, okay, you got to give a lot up. You know, are you willing to do that? And when you're young, I was, yeah. And
Absolutely.
you got to let them learn it. You know, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you can do it, yes, but there's work. Tell them the truth. You know, I used to go see Dom's clinics, and he was a big rah-rah, roo-roo kind of guy, and I'd always sit back there like, oh, yeah, I mean, but you're still making $2,000, $2,500 to come do this because you can't get a gig, so you're doing this. You know?
Right.
But I would say that, like just stay human, you know, and it's like learn from like the problems we have with social media right now. We hate on each other so much. And
it's terrible, yeah.
Like Deej used to say to me, man, we was just so jealous of y'all, man. And, like, we hated y'all, but we didn't know you. And then I get to know you, and you're like, dude, you're my brother.
All right, exactly.
And he's like, just didn't even know what I was hating on, you know? And it's like, and so it's don't be jealous of someone else's success, you know, man, helps that, because, you know, it will feed you, you know, so you got to kind of pay attention to those things. We used to have a saying we called coniferous, was the musicians that would come see you and sit in the back of the room with their arms crossed.
Judging like them.
And it's like, you know, it's like, don't be that guy. You know,
Right.
walk up and tell those people how great. And even if they're not great, you know, try to be, you know.
Find the good.
Constructive criticism is good. You know, like I tell you, when I said, man, you might want to shorten your episodes down a little bit. People's attention spans, you know, like my own. But
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we talk to people like humans, and you'll go a lot further than trying to, like, you know. And then, you know, for a young person that kind of just follows in these guidelines, they can, and don't take it all so serious. And remember, you got to at some point, you got to make a living, you know.
Got to make a living. You got to enjoy it, man.
Yeah, you got to enjoy it. And universities are selling a pipe dream to people. Like, they want your money. And so, like, your parents might think that, hey, I'm going to go major in music business or whatever, and that there's a job waiting for you. Well, no, you still got to go, and you're going to drop $50,000 on a degree that's now, it's a higher thinking thing, so it's not trade school, but you got to use it the right way and
Right.
go and realize that just because you have a master's in music business does not mean you earn $80,000 a year.
Right.
You start from the intern and gotta make or say if you're a player, you know, it's like you have to start here. You might have to play for free for people to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
You might have to do some videos, whatever it takes, and you have to work, you know, and like, don't get in a hurry though. Time's on your side when you're 16 years old.
Oh, man.
Think about when you were 16. I was barely playing drums. Right? Man, I got 8-year-olds that could play better than me when I was 20.
That's crazy. It's scary, I know.
That's like so good. But, you know, parents now invest in those. Like, they see especially today, because we live with our phones and everything, parents see the strength of music and playing music together now to get their kids off their devices.
Yeah.
So they're going to support any kind of music you do, you know, because it's like the team sport for the kid who's not good at soccer or not good at whatever, you know. So,
Right.
But you got to be patient.
That's good advice, man. That's great advice. So, the most important part of our episodes, if we talk about cooking.
I love cooking.
What you cook? What's your favorite thing to cook? I love it.
I love cooking outside. And I like making big messes.
Lisa doesn't let me cook inside.
Huh?
Lisa doesn't let me cook inside.
Yeah, well, because it stinks up the house.
It stinks up the house, yeah.
Like, my dream kitchen would be a kitchen hooked to the house, but where I have some climate control, but I can open like those doors. Or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And but also kick on an AC when it's 100. But
Yeah.
I like my mom is like, you know, Cajun lady, cook Cajun food. You know, it's like soul food, that kind of food. I grew up eating. My mom come home from work and would cook.
Yeah, that's how it was with me too.
And it wasn't like slop or anything. She cooked. We always, and Sunday dinners would go to my grandmother's and we would eat. It was always like, and they made the most out of cheap meats and this, that. They just knew how to use a black iron skillet and,
Yeah.
you know, rice and gravy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I moved, you know, I was living in LA, I was working I learned a little bit about the other side of cooking, you know, like, which was fascinating because there's an art to it, you know. Like, there's a
Definitely.
recipe, but then how you adjust your recipes too.
Yeah.
So, like today before I came here, I was like, I'm hungry for lunch. What do I got? And so I had a link of sausages left over, some chicken breasts in the freezer, an onion, garlic, sun-dried tomatoes, some pasta. So I bought me some pasta, chopped up the garlic and the onions. Oh, there's a jalapeno growing in the garden.
There
Some
you
oil, bro. Put all that together, put it over pasta. It was excellent. You know, it had like And it didn't take a lot of, like, I just had to see what I had in the kitchen, and that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I love like smoking and barbecue like any dude, but I don't like using like a pellet where I use my iPhone. I get my Weber cup, put it out there, and I fight with, like Justin. You know Justin.
Oh, yeah.
Like that does a barbecue in full, and he uses just a.
It's ridiculous.
He's like, oh, that's cheating. And so but I love eating seafood, so I love cooking seafood.
Yeah, I do too.
Like that's my Now, do everything I cook is successful? No, not always. It's like sometimes that's not too good, or dry it out.
There's a lot of things easy to leave from Louisiana, but leaving our food, it's almost impossible.
And those of us, like, man, I teach kids, I just have no idea. I've been to every state in the United States except for Hawaii, the best one. But it's like,
right.
I've been all over, and I'm living here. I'm good. It's like the only other place I'd want to live is my own island somewhere, and that's not going to happen. So.
Totally.
But not just the food, but the food is a reflection of the people, like the warmth, the
yeah, man, that's a good
whether you're a
outlook.
soccer fan or not, you have had to watch those soccer fans saying, man, this is the United States. It's like, y'all are lucky. Like, this is an amazing place. And people are so nice. We trust each other for the most part. If you follow the internet and all that stuff, you would feel like the world is in a terrible place. But if you live in your real world, you go, wow, the world's actually,
right.
My world's nice.
You listen to people
instead of food has a lot to do with, it's like, look how hard chain restaurants have a hard time surviving in Lafayette because they have they're better to compete with, unless they're a Louisiana chain,
right,
or from New Orleans, or whatever. And even those compete. Now but it's like people and the food and like the culture of the area. Like every guy I know cooks.
We have gas stations with food better than restaurants in some towns here, man. Right. It's crazy.
So me and my wife went to Arkansas, and we went to Manitou. Is that Colorado? I don't remember one of those. And it's one of those little stream areas was famous for, but everything was dirty, And we went to a restaurant. Food was like terrible. Spent like $180.
Oh,
so I
gosh.
said, well, how about a bourbon? And like the best bourbon they had was Elijah Craig, I think, and not even like just a regular. And I was like, and this was their high-end restaurant that we saved the night to go, and the food was like, I was just so, I was like, man,
disappointed.
You go to places like, but you come here, like you said, and then I go to Hebert's Grocery on my way to my boat and get some knockdown food,
Oh yeah.
And I'm eating in my truck driving down the road, It's like
it's so good, I know.
And then we cook, it's like I hang out at the Point, and that's my escape place where everybody there is either looking to have a good time or go fishing or they're cooking. All those camps. And I remember when I first started hanging out there, I had this little sailboat I used as my camp, and I sleep on it, and I'm on it, and this guy comes by in his party barge, and he sees me barbecuing on the back of my boat. He goes, "Put that out. Come to my camp. I got food. Just you don't even have to come talk to me. Just go walk in, mix up a plate, go back to your boat." It's like. A rich dude, with a $180,000 party barge passing by. You go to his camp, $1 million camp, food, but he didn't have somebody. He cooked it all, and then he's like, "Everybody come eat." And
wow.
He cooked enough food to feed 50 people.
That's the beauty of down here. That's how we cook, man. I
love
that.
They all over here cooking, and then it's like part of a little yacht club thing. Sometimes, like if one of us cooks, we all like, and so. Sometimes I'll bring food with me down there, and I'll never use any of it because I'm eating somebody else's, and everybody can cook, and they all brag that they can cook, but and my gumbo's the best, or my, it's like I don't know, it's all pretty good to me.
Yeah, I ain't mad at none of it. Yeah.
But it's like cooking is. Now I don't like cleaning. That's the problem. I make a big mess, and you're a very organized, clean dude. I just walked to your garage and went, holy smoke. Everything is in its place. Look at this room.
My wife wore off on me, man.
No, you've always done that. No. Yeah, and like you walk in my garage, and man. And I have my two kits. I have the working kits and the two working kits, and then it gets stuff everywhere. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to a gig and not have something because I have because I work out, and then I have all my boat stuff, and it's all everywhere, and it's like can't park a car. And I walk in yours, and you have little containers. You probably know where everything is.
They're labeled.
So that's awesome. Yeah, of course they are.
It's my wife.
You probably have a label maker, huh?
I do. I have two of them, actually. But that's because my wife, she's she's super organized, man, and
That's-
she'll throw a shoe at me if I leave something out of place. So
No, I'm out of place in general, but it's like that's why I like at the school our GM got to be a very organized human being to help me.
yeah,
You know, like, and she's learned over the years that she'll say, "Hey, you need to do this," blah 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 blah, and I'm like, hey. And she knows that she's gonna have to text me 3 hours later. Did you do like just keep hounding me until I finally go? And, I'm gonna do it. I got time. You know.
right.
Like you know, I'm a micromanager where I'm just trying to do everything that I feel like, and it's hard to trust. You know.
Yeah,
So, it's like cooking. I want to cook. My wife can cook, but she doesn't. She does shortcuts where I'm like, don't do shortcuts.
Yeah.
You can't do. She's gonna do a spaghetti sauce in a jar and then try and doctor it up, and it'll be kind of like that's fine. But like, she's gonna do all of that stuff. Me, I like to like, so I'm gonna cook, and then
Yeah.
so, and I love like I love eating places that I don't think I can cook it or I don't understand it. Like Thai food. I think I can cook Thai food, but every time I try, it comes out like Cajun Thai. It's not Thai.
It's just, yeah,
Sushi. As much as I
totally.
want to roll sushi and do that, like I can't make it look like. And in cooking, I hate to say it, but presentation does have an effect. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like now, I think I can cook a good steak, how I want it. So why would I go to a steakhouse and pay $80 for a
Right.
ribeye? Like $80. I'm like, holy smokes, $80 for this.
That's
steak.
crazy. That
When
is just crazy.
Go buy me a cut of meat for $30.
Right.
Make it the way, or $25. You know, and it's like I get it. They got to make, people think, but restaurants got to do their plates times 4. So expensive of everything. Seems like people think, it's like they don't get how much goes into like a bar. Bars are struggling around here because drinking's down. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I can't. Well, it's a good thing, but
Yeah, right.
unfortunately for us,
Yeah, it's not great for us.
no, it's not.
It's not great for us.
We talk about those Poets Wednesday nights. You know how much money that bar used to make on a Wednesday night?
Oh, well, I find out from the guys who used to work the
It doesn't
doors how much they were
yeah.
sticking in their pockets.
Doesn't
off
that
of us.
aggravate you when
Yeah,
you find out?
especially when they brag to your face about it. I'm like, I will break your jaw right here. What's wrong with
there's
you,
certain
man?
things I found out later. I was going like, we all ran our businesses wrong.
Yeah, I
back
thought
then.
you were my friend, man.
Yeah,
You're sitting there
it's like-
stealing from us.
But not just the door, the bars.
I know, it's crazy.
$30,000-$40,000, on a Wednesday night.
Oh.
A good night for a bar now is 10. And they only have Saturday nights. Like they have trouble. Like most bars, like clubs, open. Like I try to book only Saturdays and runs books because that's the only night I think we have a shot at an audience.
Totally.
Because if I book a Friday, then you're taking a gamble.
It's date night, and then all these
Yeah.
acoustic acts
Yeah.
are everywhere.
I'm fine
so,
with that. Like
Yeah.
because I'm over the hump of that. So it's like
Right, yeah.
So when I do play the gigs that are good, I'm like, and let's face it, it's like anything, it's more fun when it's successful. If you're cooking and it's good, it's a hell of a lot more fun to clean the kitchen after. If
Absolutely.
you're playing drums and it's successful, it's a lot easier to tear down and load your car and go home. You feel
Yeah.
better.
Ride that
If
high.
it's a terrible
Yeah.
gig and everything went wrong, if it's terrible food and everything went wrong, you don't want to clean the kitchen and you just want to leave your drums there and you just want to go home.
You want on the drive home, you're thinking about not doing another gig.
Oh boy, I've been there once. And now, like if I can't drive me and my truck to the gig, it's a hard time for me. Like I did some. Me and Justin, when he was in the band, used to ride together, but he'd drive me crazy because he would just. And then on the way home, after he's had a few, and we're driving back, my radio in my truck is messed up.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go turn it down, it turns it up all the way. And I would listen to Coast to Coast. I don't know if you know what that is. It's late night, and it's about aliens. And
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like,
I love it.
I can't listen to you. I'm just going to listen to Coast to Coast, all kind of crazy.
You got ear fatigue at the end of the
right,
gig. You ain't trying to hear all that.
And I was
Yeah.
to that, and Justin's trying to talk to me. And then he'll call one of his air gig buddies, like from wherever, at FaceTime, and want to talk to me. And I'm like, and he goes to turn my radio down, and he's turning it knob, and it just turns it full blast. He's like, he can't figure it out.
Oh, my God.
So it's like when I get to drop,
You
and it's
gotta
like,
love him, man.
it's like, oh man, the best guitar player, sweetest dude, man.
On the
dude.
planet,
Yeah,
I
like,
think.
like he's unbelievable, like tones but
Yeah.
he can't sing, so.
I know. That's why he's still here.
Ask him. We did a song in Alaska. Me and him wrote a song together, and he sang on it. Ask him about it.
I might ask him, Justin Lewis.
I don't know if he had
We're going
it.
to have that conversation.
Anyway, so it's like it's every time I get to ride by myself in my truck to a gig, it's the only time in my world that I get to control my atmosphere, what I'm listening to, the temperature, everything.
Totally.
So driving, like, man, I could be a truck driver, I think. I'm driving down the road. It's like I get home, it's like, it's the house getting cool, whatever. So I was like, But man, when you're driving down the road, and especially after a gig, when you just want to unwind and decompress so you can go to sleep, because even though you might get home at 3 a.m, let's say, that's hard enough as it is at our age to try and get, but it's like how to turn everything, your muscles are still firing, and you're like trying to get everything and watch TV, and because everything is still like,
yeah.
Then you wake up the next day and you feel like you just been run over by a truck. I'll
soak in the tub after a gig till I fall asleep.
I hate bath.
And I wake up when the water's cold and I get in bed.
But no, I love cooking, and cooking. When I was doing it, it's a stressful job. It's more stressful than you think if you've never done it. Those tickets, and then when you're in a high-end restaurant, I got the celebrity cook with like Woody Harrelson. And
oh, what? That's awesome.
I cooked for Morris Day, and he asked to meet the chef. And I'm sure when I walked out, had long hair, and probably like, what the hell, And then I cooked for Steve Perry. He was the only one in the restaurant and the bartender was like, man, that's Steve Perry.
Wow.
And I was like, no, that's not. And he looked at the credit card, and Steve Perry.
Wow. Wow. Well, you were talking about the Blarney Blast, and I know we all loved it as musicians. It was great. From a kitchen and a management standpoint for Bennigan's, it must have been
hell
crazy. Well, KK's in front of my neighborhood, the owner, Lee, was one of the managers at Bennigan's. And, Heath and I went and ate in there one night, and we were talking about it, with him and the whole Blarney Blast thing. So he's one of those cats, because they get so ridiculous busy in there. And he's still hands-on cooking and stuff in there. So I talked to him, so I understand what you're saying about that. It's just a madhouse in there sometimes.
But it gets...
You have to be married to it.
Yeah, all these specialty things and all that, man. And it's like... And back, like, in L.A., most of the kitchen help didn't speak English. They and
man.
It was,
That's a challenge.
And but you get to meet those guys, and a lot of those dudes are just good little dudes, bro, just trying to find their way, make some money, It's like... And... I used to, but chefs drink a lot, and I get it now. Because at the end of the night, there's a bartender right there. Hey, bro.
You got to take the edge
off. He would send me a drink. Sometimes Raul had to bring me home in L.A. because I would have too many drinks at the end of my shift. Or someone's complaining, or, like, you can't please everybody all the time.
Man. No.
It's like
you have to accept that you can't please everybody at some point, or it'll drive you nuts.
Oh, that's why we like cooking for ourselves.
Yeah, right.
It's like, and I've never complained. I've never sent a dish back. I just don't go back.
Right.
Or I'm just not that person. I'm not going to throw a tantrum.
Nah.
And then also, I always tip 20% or more, but 20% even, and my wife going, she was terrible. Could be having a bad day.
Yeah.
This might be the thing that turns that person's day around. It's like
right.
They could be having a really bad day right now. And
guys like us have an appreciation for the service industry, though. Seeing what we've seen when these barbacks and waitresses and bartenders.
What they take, bro.
Man, yeah. It definitely, that's one thing about playing a club circuit. It definitely gives you an awareness of, what the service industry deals with. And so I tip good. I try to.
Yeah, and they always love musicians and bands that do well, because they do well.
Right, absolutely.
So, like, I'm friends with all the service people from Gulf Shores and the Pointy Days. Like, anytime I go there, you stay at my house. You don't have to get,
Yeah.
Like 35 years later, it's because we'd go there, they would make, 600, 700. They would make their winner in those weeks, they would tell, and they would appreciate that, and they would tell you that.
Yeah.
Unlike the places I told you that we talked about earlier, would say, "Oh, we're not making any," and they're making, one club we built that man's house. He told me after it was all over that that we made him well over $1 million in a few years span of time, just our band alone.
Wow.
And the last time we played there, his check bounced, and he didn't make it right.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah,
That is not cool.
yeah.
Wow.
And it was a guy that we used to like. Me and Heath would pal around, liked. And now, he was the guy that we went play his club, and that was back when our guarantee was $600. And
Yeah.
we was having some success, but we weren't playing in our hometown yet. And so he called us to book us, and I said, we're $600. And he's like, oh, I've never paid a band more than $300. I said, yeah, but we're bringing in all our PA and everything. Yeah, but I said, how about this? $300, but we get 100% of the door. Because at the time it was an 80-20.
Yeah, right.
But I already knew we were doing well, and I knew we were going to go kill it over there. And he's like, okay. Well, we show up, we set up, and it's him and his wife in a bar back.
Oh.
And I said, dude. So we start, man, the line forms out the door. He starts looking. He's on the phone. He's calling his friends to come. He's got somebody running to Del Shams. There was Del Shams down the road to buy beer. He didn't have enough stuff. And, man, that place got packed out, and it but he wasn't prepared for it. So it's not like you go play somewhere and you just know that's like, man, they better have some beer tubs. Like, you got to make it when you can, right? Like any business, when the opportune time to make the money, you got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're a fisherman, you better go when the moon's in the right place and you're going to go catch the fish, right? If you don't, you're not going to. And boy, he learned. The next time we went back, that dude was ready to sell some beer.
Oh, yeah.
And sold some beer. And it went on for years playing there. And then
Wow.
after we got back together, he had taken over another bar and we went to go play it. And didn't do so good. Nobody came, wasn't promoted. And our guarantee at the time wasn't much. So he gave us some cash and wrote a check, and the check bounced. I knew he had the money. And then I called him and I said, I'm just going to eat this one and call it a day. And I've eaten many checks over the years over things like, I've had attorneys tell me, it's going to cost me more to go get that money than just write it off as a lesson learned.
Yeah, totally.
Nah, it happens, right? But all businesses, not just musicians.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Everybody gets the. It seems like musicians just get a little more punch because we're so broke, It's like.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I like those kind of things. There's some other friends in town who tell me stories about, like Shannon. Remember Shannon?
Oh, yeah.
We're friends now. We hear that radio talk show. He's like, man, come on my show. I'd be like, man, listen to your show, bro. But I don't know. And but he would tell stories about, like one time he had P-Funk on a Friday night, and it cost him a pretty penny.
Yeah.
But he thought, okay, that's when he had the plaza. Like, hey, they did that Prince thing, and so he was.
I remember he had Prince after
feeling
party
good
over
about
there,
himself.
man. That was wild.
And now keep in mind, Spank got paid $1,500 to play. By then he had got smart and wasn't sharing the door with us that we were getting at Poet, because he was handing us $5,000 over at Poets, and so he was like,
yeah.
And then, and that's when they started, like we started putting a clicker at the door, and that's when the end began. Like when they were finding out, oh no, we don't trust us. I'm like, no, our guy's gonna click the door.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, I don't
How
trust
about that?
anyone. Like, we need to get paid, bro. And then, so P-Funk plays, and he only sells like 350 tickets, and he needed to sell, I think, 800, and the plaza held 1,200. And he was like, man, I just lost my ass. He was just. And then Saturday night, Spank played.
He made it all back.
He made it all back. 1,800 people paid through the door on that Saturday night. A band that cost him $1,500.
Wow.
And it's like, he's telling that story, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
So you probably made $10,000 on the door. That's where Molly Ringwalds and Chiwis got smart. They quit playing all those cheap gigs, and they just said, we're charging. You don't pay, we don't play.
Period.
We should have done that back in the day when we had the.
It's to get all the other bands to stick to it too, because they're.
But you gotta know what you're worth, right? Like if you're not
Exactly.
drawing anybody, then you can't demand any kind of money. Like so many bands go, we should get paid. I said it was 20 people there to see you. It's like
Exactly.
nobody made any money. So.
Yep.
So what? But if you're playing these packed clubs, the band's got to go. Zydeco bands do that.
Yeah.
They dictate the covers that's going to be charged for their bands. They know their market value. It's like you got to know your market, right? So he was like, you got to like. But back then, like say we were doing a little bit better draw wise than most bands, and then we're still kind of getting paid on that same level. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's look at this. It's like with Chiwis and Molly Ringwalds, they increased their show and their value. So their perceived dollar value was not just 4 dudes showing up jamming. Like, man, we got rolling drum stages and all that. So smart business. And then
Totally.
now I'm going to charge $10,000, and if you don't pay that, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and then so they work less. They like like what Spank was doing back in those days when we also were like, man, we got to fill this Monday night, or we got to fill this, and it was money in, money out.
Yeah.
So we got to pay for fuel. We got to pay. So if we were on the road, we just did cheap gigs. But it also watered down your value. Your like you got to make people want to come see you.
Absolutely.
Like in Lafayette, you remember those days? You could play in Lafayette 8 times and play for a packed house, right?
Yep.
You can't now.
Not
right?
now.
You can't even play 8 times a year.
You know,
3 times a year.
The pre 9/11, I tell a lot of young musicians, like pre 9/11, when we had all of these towns that had military populated towns, those people stationed there would go out and party, and the whole scene along the entire Gulf Coast was so much better because of it. Then after 9/11, and a lot of them were deployed, a lot of those places started shutting down. Made it harder back then, and then now it's even harder just because post-COVID, just we're still clawing our way out of that.
It just like I feel at this, like I also teach. I still do UL's drumline, but I'm working with I'm used as needed. They keep me around because I'm cheap, and I like being attached to it because it was a big part of my history.
Yeah, it's what you
I'm proud of the
love.
university, and it keeps me attached. And I hire those guys to come work for me, so it's a pipeline all the way.
Yeah,
they keep me there because I am a figure that that they know and was capable of drumming, and like I can give them real world experience. Say, hey, there's more to drumming than there's a business aspect to it as well.
Totally.
And so but after COVID, the talent level of the drum line, just like, and I was like, what? I'm arranging parts. I'm like, I gotta write like simplistic, like from what we had before. I could write all kind of crazy stuff, and these dudes would
learn it.
They would learn it, not only learn it, but they would kill it in no time. I was like, how are they doing that? My brain just can't.
Yeah.
Like Phantom Regiment is doing a 50-year thing, and John Woodman called me to go do Phantom Regiment 50. I said, bro, I can't memorize it.
Right.
But then COVID comes along, man, and stuff and now the drum line, the last 2 years, is finally starting to get back to like. So it took that long, that gap of that generation of ability, the mindset, and the same thing happened at our schools. Like the momentum that we were gaining went away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No matter what money government's getting, it can't replace the money we lost.
No.
Or the momentum. And then the ability of the kids on their instruments was so staggeringly different. And it still is. We're still not, and I think we lost something that we're not going to gain back during COVID, like a certain kind of player. Every now and then you'll get one.
Yeah.
Like, for an example, is School of Rock Corporate. There are schools all over the world. They're in Africa, they're in Brazil, Japan, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Worldwide, it used to be they do all-stars where kids can and they do 7 tours and kids can go all over the country. Ainsley Laurel did 2 years, like to the East Coast, and you meet kids from all over the world. Thousands and thousands of kids audition. It used to be a lot of drummers, a lot of singers, and a lot of guitar players, not very many bass players or keyboard players like to pick from.
Yeah, right.
Now the bottom of it's still a lot of drummers and a lot of vocalists because everybody wants to play drums, understandably. But guitar players are now the bottom. Like they're just not enough guitar players. And at our school, we're having that issue.
Wow.
Like we have a house band that does gigs. They play Festival National. They play different things. And
man, I used to see so many of them in your videos that y'all would post.
They shred,
full.
right?
Yeah.
Like the 2 dudes that play for LA Rocks are from our school.
I
2
know.
brothers.
They're
Shred.
both killer.
Like man, when they were 15, I'd be like,
I know. I remember, man.
It was like, and then as kids, they could just, and we have none. We lost our last one we had about a year ago. He graduated. He's gone now. But like, just the shredding ability and they're all like atmospheric, and not a lot of them. And it's like, I don't know if that will come back or not, but I don't know if it's because of the kind of
the
music.
kids that were consumed with it like we were.
Well,
They're
still the drummers. Like I got some killer young drummers.
Yeah.
Like scary good, And I feel like I'm always, and we have some vocalists that can wail, But, bass players are always kind of, hard to find. But man, keyboards and guitar players, like nobody's playing keyboards. Like what is going on,
Wow.
Then I blamed us for a while. I said, we just don't have the right teachers motivating. Like I kept trying, like we need a teacher who's going to like excite these young players and so they don't go play soccer or whatever. And But it wasn't just us. It was everybody.
Yeah.
Schools across the world having those problems.
Crazy.
Like, so it's going to change. So you just got to kind of, change with it. And I don't know.
Crazy. Well, Brad, you ready to play some drums?
Maybe.
Let's play some drums.
Shadows cover trees.